Hello. Damn it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it was echoing on me. Oh, Remio, I see you've been busy. Oh, what does that say? You were playing RE2, you're playing Leon, you're good, it's hard playing today. Oh, yeah, that part is, you have to do some strategy on her section. Alright. Hey, what's up, guys? Hello, Fricks. Okie dokie. Get a little playlist going here. That one. Yeah, that one. That one. This one. Just enjoy the music for a bit while I make the playlist for our Saturday chill stream video watching. Seems like a few of these are going to be like comic booky stuff, but that's just how they happen to. Okay, that should do. Alright. Alrighty, y'all ready to get into this? Take care of the bot, please. Banish them. Don't like Mr. X, he's hard. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and get into this. So this first one here is by, what does that say, Toon? Said when villains had balls. Well, no, it's called Why Modern Villains Suck, explained in 24 minutes. Alright, here we go.
Scar threw his own brother off a cliff. Jafar used magic to take over a kingdom, and Shan Yu kept an entire empire in fear by saying just a few words. these villains didn't apologize or flinch or cry for redemption. They were bad to the very end. But now we get villains with very stupid motivations, misunderstood trauma patients, and evil that is scared of being evil. We have been robbed.
It's good to have
but how did we allow?
It's good to have a sympathetic villain, but like every now and then. Every villain doesn't need to be that way.
This? Why do modern villains suck so much? To understand why modern villains suck, we need to remember how great they used to be. Back then, villains were forces that carried entire movies on their shoulders. You didn't need a 10-minute flashback to know who they were. You saw and felt it even before they said anything. In Mulan, Shan Yu's first appearance is the stuff of legends. The film opens with a shot of the Great Wall, calm, orderly, and untouchable. Then, a hawk dives out of nowhere and knocks a soldier in the head. Grappling hooks fly over the edge, and Huns climb up the wall. A guard who first sees him panics and lights the signal fires.
Now all of China knows you're here.
Then Shan Yu walks into frame, picks up a flag, tosses it into the fire, and says, "Perfect." That's it. He wants people to know that he has arrived because he isn't afraid of anyone or any challenge whatsoever. That single act defines him as a character with balls. It hasn't been said yet, but you know this ought to be the villain. It's in his stillness, his confidence, and in the way he looks, bulky and with eyes like those of an extremely venomous snake. Talk about judging a book by its cover. And that was another thing with classic villains. You can tell by their design, voice, and general appearance that they were evil. The villains of that era understood presence.
Alright, hold on. I forgot my fork.
Shan Yu.
Hang on a sec. Away, Johnny. You don't need anything else. I hurt my knee. Alright, back to it.
Shan Yu barely moves or speaks, yet he commands the whole tone of the film. You see it in the soldiers' panic, in the dark colors swallowing the sky, and in the hawk circling above him. Before he even reaches the hero, he's already changed the world. Another strength of villains like him lies in what they don't need. No justification or lesson, just conviction. You know exactly what drives him. Domination, power, and the thrill of proving his might against China's greatest wall and emperor. Every appearance reinforces that. When he asks
his men,
if you
died on Ritu and changed the difficulty and put on assisted Get Ming on rocket launcher assault rifle or any one of the character you play as?
No.
Is shot without another word. That kind of confidence shapes the entire story around it.
I mean, I knew it would.
But if that's not convincing enough for you, then maybe Jafar's shenanigans would explain better. So, you remember Jafar, right? Well, in case you don't, he is the antagonist in the 1992 movie Aladdin, the royal vizier who hides his hunger for power behind fake obedience. While the Sultan worries about Jasmine's marriage, Jafar spends his nights chasing legends. He's already corrupt when we meet him. Out in the desert, he hires a thief
when you play
named
Ritu, I will tell you how to get
a golden scarab. Once Gazim delivers, Jafar joins the Haves, summons the Cave of Wonders, and orders him inside despite the warning. The cave swallows the thief whole, and Jafar and his parrot Iago are not moved.
Gazim was obviously less than worthy.
Together, they're a perfect reflection of evil. One loud, the other quiet, but both are very dangerous. He continuously hypnotizes the Sultan to get what he wants, and when he discovers that the diamond in the rough is a street rat named Aladdin, he disguises himself as a frail old man to trick him into retrieving the lamp. The moment Aladdin hands it over, Jafar tries to kill him.
What are you doing?
Giving you your reward! Your eternal reward!
One thing you would notice about Jafar is how every failure of his makes him darker and what he is willing to do to get what he wants. This is why, when Jasmine exposes his lies, he doesn't apologize. Instead, he attempts to hypnotize the Sultan again. And once his deceit is revealed, he escapes, steals the lamp, and becomes the genie's new master.
This is not done yet, boy!
And I was playing Re7.
Ooh, sorry. All right.
Wishes twist Agrabah into a nightmare. He forces the Sultan to bow, enslaves Jasmine, and turns into a sorcerer drunk on control. Do you notice what has been happening so far? Do you see how Jafar's evil escalates? This is how true villains act, instead of softening to the point of redemption. That's what made him iconic. His story never begs for sympathy. His ambition grows until it destroys him, and his villainy never fades.
I have killed Jack and his wife, and now I am playing as Mia with Ethan in the mold now.
Clarity. You always knew what they wanted, how far they'd go, and what they were willing to sacrifice for it. Shan Yu and Jafar wanted power, and they didn't need trauma to justify it. Their evil wasn't about sympathy, but choice. They chose to be this way, and that made them fascinating. Modern villains often fail because they've lost that spine. They have replaced willpower with excuses and conviction with confusion. The point is, these guys had balls, and you might not understand the importance of that fully. But look at how highly rated the movies they appeared in were. Now, look at the movies of today. These abysmal ratings already say a lot about modern villains, but let's take things a little further. Maybe we're wrong, but Minions would probably have been more loved if Scarlet Overkill knew how to villain right. The movie builds her up as the world's first female supervillain, but when it's time to prove it, she spends more energy flaunting her husband's gadgets than making anyone terrified. Having charisma is one of the most important features of a great villain, and Scarlet has this. Even Megamind talked about the significance of this when he stressed about presentation! However, this isn't enough. If it ends in just how your villain presents themselves, it is pointless. Unfortunately, this was the case for Scarlet. Every scene is about how stylish, clever, or empowered she is supposed to be, rather than what she actually does. The film wants her to be iconic, but she talks about being bad more than she ever shows it.
That's
greatest
true, yeah.
supervillain of all time.
Shan Yu dares the Emperor to send his
GRU
strongest
is better,
armies,
but super
just to
villain,
make
and
a
I love
point about his
Megamind.
strength, and Jafar hypnotizes his Sultan to seize power. Scarlet, on the other hand, strikes poses, gives speeches, and sends brainless minions to steal the crown. Villains used to let their actions do the talking. Now, they narrate their ambition like they're in a self-help seminar. That's one of the first signs of what went wrong. The old rule of storytelling, show, don't tell, has been discarded. When you explain why you're scary, you stop being scary. The next issue runs deeper. Modern villains lack clear or reasonable goals. Professor Callahan from Big Hero 6 is a perfect example. He begins as a man of intellect and mystery, a mentor figure who commands quiet respect. However, his intelligence fades the moment his true motive is revealed. His plan revolves around revenge against Alistair
I am on
Craig,
standby for a bad
businessman
messages.
he blames for his daughter's disappearance during an experimental portal test. It's a motive grounded in grief, but what he does with that grief makes no sense. Instead of using his genius to find his daughter, he uses it to destroy Cray's company. He doesn't even stop to consider that she might still be alive, despite having access to the same technology that caused her disappearance. What's crazy is that
That's a good
Callahan
point.
would have done better if they had not even forced a motivation on him. They should have just made him like Jafar or Shan Yu, who wanted power. He would have been a more formidable obstacle to Hero and the other superheroes. Instead, they tried to merge a twist and a sympathetic villain all in one, which ended up a complete disaster. Seriously, man, what really happened to our villains? Unfortunately, it gets even crazier because the worst kind of villains today are those that are redeemed without even earning it.
All the heroes need to be perfect, squeaky clean.
Do you think the Re9 DLC will grace looking for Emily and being her mom?
Dude, she's already found Emily. Don't you remember the ending scene where she said, "She's doing great. I'm even teaching her to read." Yeah. All the heroes need
I
to
do.
be. All the heroes need to be squeaky clean, and the villains aren't allowed to be too bad. And they have to be redeemable. For some reason, we're so afraid of anybody having actual flaws, and of enemies actually being evil.
Namari from Raya and the Last Dragon is the prime example here. She begins as the perfect foil to Raya. She is sharp, calculating, and manipulative.
You've been very helpful.
After she earns Raya's trust, she betrays her, and in doing so, shatters the entire world. Every move she makes builds her up as the central obstacle to peace. But by the end, that edge dulls completely. The film turns her into a misunderstood ally in the final act, robbing her
But
story
what about
of
the
the
ending
bite
where
it
Grace is
started
talking
with?
to Leon about
Her-
Cherry and then the Fib guy asks Grace about the report he was asking for?
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's where she mentions her.
Redemption feels unearned because she never does anything to earn it. If she had stayed a true villain, the film would have had real stakes. I mean, just look at how electrifying her fight with Raya was here. The sound effect, the stakes, the cinematography, everything was on point. Seriously, they should have just let Namari be evil. It would have shown a world where some people simply choose selfishness even when they know better. Her
Where
mother's
did Emily
influence
and Grace
could
found a
explain
dog
her
because it was in
motives.
the background of Re9?
I don't know, dude. Why are you asking me?
But not excuse them. That kind of moral choice, that awareness of her own cruelty, would have made her terrifying and believable. However, the movie completely wraps everything up in unearned forgiveness. Namari goes from betrayer to partner without paying the emotional cost. A fairly similar problem happens with Te Kā in Moana. For most of the film, Te Kā is pure destruction, a volcanic monster stopping Moana from reaching her goal. She's terrifying because she doesn't talk or reason, she just
Okay. If you're gonna criticize Te Kā, I disagree. Because that was a good twist. It turned out to actually be the goddess. And she just had like her heartstone removed, so it made her evil. Like, that's fine.
burns. Then the twist drops. Te Kā isn't evil at all. She's Te Fiti, a goddess with her heart stolen.
Yeah.
That moment redefines everything, but it also deflates the story's tension. Someone once joked that Te Fiti is a creature which had something stolen from it and threw tantrums until it got it back.
She's a deity. They tend to be like that. Duh. Okay, I disagree with this criticism of this villain.
He's not wrong. Instead of a villain being
I don't think his criticism applies to this villain. Sorry.
defeated, we get a misunderstanding being resolved. It's moving, yes, but it also signals a trend that villains can't stay villains anymore. They must be redeemed, or at least misunderstood. It's as if the modern story structure is afraid of moral clarity. Evil can't just be evil. It has to be a cry for help. And when they aren't redeemed, they often arrive too late to matter. Zurg from Lightyear suffers from this. Zurg's reveal comes so late that his story never gets a chance to breathe. The film builds him up as a mysterious threat. Then, suddenly, he's a future version of Buzz? Older, bitter, and misguided. Instead of heightening the conflict, it waters it down. His villainy turns into a therapy session about accepting failure. By the time you understand him, he's already defeated. There's no space for dread or suspense. A good villain should force the hero to grow by challenging their beliefs. However, if your villain wants to be redeemed, there's nothing to challenge. If they arrive too late, there's nothing to build. And if they talk more than they act, there's nothing to fear. That's the problem with modern villains. But how did we get here? Why did animation studios start creating these awful villains? The answers are actually uncomfortable and not something you might be ready to hear. However, once you see the pattern, it's hard to unsee. Studios, especially Disney, don't want to admit it, but the reason they have ruined our villains or gotten rid of them entirely is because of fear. They are scared of how audiences will respond to truly evil villains. Studios now build stories in an age of constant feedback, online outrage, family blogs, and social media debates that dissect every frame. The result is anxiety disguised as inclusivity. Writers are told to humanize every antagonist, to make sure no one feels left out or judged. So instead of Shan Yu wiping out the whole of China, we get Namaari second-guessing her evil nature. Instead of Scar plotting murder, we get Te Ka needing a hug. Pilar Nunez Delgado, a professor of literature, calls this overprotection. She says creators are shielding the audience from the truth, which includes cruelty, selfishness, and deceit. But we already know these bad things that studios are trying to hide. She also argues that children can handle fear. They've always been able to. Classic villains didn't traumatize them, but taught them that evil exists and can be beaten. That's what made those stories powerful. Now, studios avoid moral discomfort like it's bad for business. Well, because it actually is to them. Animated films today are built for global audiences, markets that prefer balance and positivity. Evil doesn't translate well across cultures, but redemption does.
Not a meme.
It's cleaner, easier to market, and politically neutral. A villain like Jafar or Shan Yu might be iconic, but they're hard to modernize without offending someone. Anna Garalone, a scholar, argues that this trend has stripped stories of their symbolism. Villains used to represent the shadows of human nature: envy, pride, and greed. They gave moral shape to fear. But now, those symbols are replaced by metaphors. That's why a movie like Raya and the Last Dragon feels hollow despite its beauty. There's tension, but no danger, because everything is fixable, forgivable, and explainable. There's also a creative fatigue at play. Writing pure evil takes guts and effort. It forces a writer to explore darkness without apology. That's risky. It requires vision and confidence, something hard to find in today's corporate storytelling. A villain like Shan Yu or Jafar demands narrative courage, a willingness to let the bad guy win for a while, and to let the audience feel uneasy. Studios don't like unease. They prefer resolution. Audiences should leave smiling rather than questioning. But that's the irony.
They will be
the
leave
old villains
smiling
made
because good
heroes
conquered
shine.
evil.
The darker
Happy
the
day.
threat, the brighter the redemption. Without that, heroism loses meaning. A villain who's misunderstood doesn't test courage. And while compassion is noble, it doesn't stir the blood or make you sit up in your seat. Psychologist Jamie Burke says this change reflects society's push toward nuance, that children should learn to
More
see
sea
the world
monsters.
as complex, not divided into good and bad. That's a fair point, but nuance shouldn't erase threat. You can understand evil without excusing it. Even within the creative teams, there's fear of finality. Classic villains died. Scar was devoured, and Shan Yu was blown up by fireworks. These moments carried weight because they ended something. They showed consequence. Now, villains either vanish, reform, or learn a lesson. Nothing ends, as if people don't die in real life, whether they are good or bad. Look, don't get it twisted. This isn't about wanting more violence or cruelty. We just want honesty. These stories once embraced the idea that fear can teach resilience, that bad things
Tell that to
exist,
Peter
and that
Griffin.
courage matters. Whereas modern films want to skip the pain and jump straight to healing. But healing without hurt means nothing. The truth is simple. Modern animation has the tools to create unforgettable villains, but not the courage. It's not the audience who is softened, but the storytellers. Thankfully, there are still some modern villains doing us proud. And the crazy thing is, they have usually come
You're
from
not
mostly
Wolverine
two
that you can
studios.
just heal.
Sony and DreamWorks. These guys have refused to join the likes of Disney in pussifying their villains. Hence, in 2022, DreamWorks gave us Jack Horner, one of the antagonists in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Jack is a ruthless hoarder of magic who wants one thing only, the wishing star, so he can become master of all magic. He says it plainly, and he never wavers. He runs Horner's Bakery as a front and travels with an enchanted bag that contains a phoenix, unicorn horns, Excalibur, and more. And he uses them without restraint and with so much glee. He treats lives as expendable. His conscience exists as a literal character, the ethical bug, and Jack rejects it at every turn. The film uses that device to test if there's any empathy in him, but there isn't. He ignores pleas, escalates whenever challenged, and keeps pressing toward the wish. On the
That is a
river, he
chicken
kidnaps
thrower.
Perito and brandishes a unicorn horn at him to force a trade.
You're not gonna shoot a puppy, are you, Jack?
Yeah, in the face. Why?
In the chaos that follows, he fires the horn and blows up some of his baker's dozen, then shrugs it off. Later, when most of them have died, mostly because of him, he cracks a joke about not being able to make a pie without losing a dozen men. That line triggers the ethical bug to finally call him what he is, an irredeemable monster. And Jack answers by mocking the bug's stammer and flicking him off his shoulder. Jack continues in his wickedness right to the moment when he was swallowed whole by the sinking star. There was no remorse, no lesson learned, just pure unadulterated evil, exactly the way we like it. Then you have
I would
Death
be called
in the
was
same
calling
movie.
him a fat
The
man.
wolf who stalks Puss from the shadows is everything modern villains are afraid to be. Quiet, deliberate, and merciless. The film teases him like a force of nature. From the first time one of his twin scythes draws Puss's blood, the audience feels what Puss feels. Fear. Real, paralyzing fear. Every
Furry, not a
appearance
furry.
cuts deeper than the last, and every whistle in the dark intensifies his threat. He's the embodiment of mortality and consequence, haunting a hero who has wasted 8 lives without learning a thing. The brilliance of Death lies in how he completes the story thematically. He's truth personified. He forces Puss to face everything he's run from: arrogance, recklessness, and fear of meaninglessness. What makes him so effective is that he never changes. In fact, his danger escalates as the story moves to an end.
Give me 1 sec.
1.
The fact that he lets Puss live doesn't mean redemption. He just has finally seen that Puss values life, and that was enough. Besides, he would return again when the time was right.
No, we will meet again, right?
Sí. Hasta la muerte.
The film treats him the way classic villains used to be treated, as a test of the hero's purpose. He draws the best and worst out of the protagonist, leaving him changed. Sony also showed us with Into the Spider-Verse that you can have multiple villains in one movie, and it would still be a blast. They gave us Kingpin, the Prowler, and Dr. Olivia Octavia. Then, much recently, Across the Spider-Verse pulls off something just as exciting with The Spot. He begins as a joke, dismissed by Miles and by the audience.
So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian?
He's literally called Villain of the Week, but as the story unfolds, that throwaway joke turns into something far more disturbing. You can see the change in his animation, his movement, and his voice. What was once awkward and funny becomes distorted and terrifying. He becomes the embodiment of the void, both figuratively and literally.
I'm gonna take everything from you, like you took everything from me.
He is so badass that the story couldn't get rid of him in one movie. Miles and the others haven't even figured out how they would get rid of him yet. Now, that's how you write a true villain. See, what unites these villains, the Spot, Jack Horner, and Death, is that they don't compromise. Each one stands for something clear and unbending. None of them begs for understanding or forgiveness, and in doing so, they remind the audience why villains used to matter in the first place. While Disney and others lean toward emotional safety, Sony and DreamWorks lean into the bitter truth even when it is dangerous. Their villains feel unpredictable, alive, and unfiltered. They let bad guys be bad, and in doing so, they create iconic villains. Need proof that smart villains still exist? Just look at Sony and DreamWorks. They're still showing everyone how it's done. This video here confirms that.
Well, aside from what I felt was an unfair criticism of Tafiti and Takai/Tafiti, everything else I agree with.
This is a real diamond sword.
Oh shit, that's a little loud. Hang on, turn that down a bit. This says I tested Mortal Kombat weapons in real life by Drew Dirksen. I think that's how you say that.
From the video game Minecraft. But this is only one out of the 6 video game weapons that I'm going to be testing in this video to see if these weapons work in real life or just in the game. Starting with...
This is a real energy sword from the video game Halo.
Bro, that is so sick.
The energy sword in Halo is made of superheated energy, defeats most enemies in just one hit, and is one of the most feared weapons in the game.
That is like a dream weapon.
Now we're going to be testing each of these video game weapons on a real body.
What? A real body?
Let me explain. This is Mark. He perfectly replicates a human head with bones, flesh, and most importantly, blood.
Whoa. I'm Mark.
So pretty much whatever happens to this head is exactly what would happen to a real human head.
It looks like the Corey blade from Mortal Kombat Deception.
I'm glad you asked, because I got a real alien head that we're gonna test those weepons on at the end of the video.
Bro, what? You got a real alien?
Oh yeah. Before we can even get close to the real heads, we need to first figure out how to actually use these weapons. Got a candle.
Wait a minute. You said Mortal Kombat weapons. This is weapons from different games. Why don't you just say video game weapons? Well, we'll just skip to that part.
This is Scorpion's
What a lying
kunai
piece of
from
shit, he
Mortal
is me not
Kombat.
happy.
Bro, yo.
How insane is that?
It's like attached to your whole wrist.
Scorpion's kunai in Mortal Kombat is a chain spear that he throws to pull enemies towards him, setting up brutal combos, and it has become one of the most recognizable weapons in the whole Mortal Kombat series.
So to give it that same force, it's gonna fire out of my wrist into a head.
Yes.
The only thing is I've never used this before, so we should first figure out how to use it.
Yeah. Probably smart.
Yeah, we're gonna test it against this.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Let's see if it explodes. Here we go.
The spear is in his hand, so the spear come out the hand, not your elbow.
2, 1.
Oh!
Neat.
Whoa!
Yo!
Look at
Yo, that exploded!
And that's gonna be on my wrist? Bro, this thing has a lot of power. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Haha.
Did you realize the chain was getting stuck on the little spinny thing? So we took the chain out. We're gonna see if it works. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Haha, you hit
Epic
yourself in
fail,
the
Bob.
balls.
No!
We realized the chain was pretty much stopping this every single time, so we took the chain off. We're gonna try to shoot it one last time. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Nutshot.
Bro. Oh, dude, look. It like broke the skin and chipped his teeth.
Yo.
That's kind of crazy. So, is this practical? No.
Not with the chain,
Not
no.
with the chain at all. Accurate? No.
That
Is
was
it
super
deadly?
effective. Because you
Maybe
are not
get a little
Hanzo,
bit
man,
of
only
knee surgery,
Hanzo can do
you're
it.
good to go.
Yeah, I think
I was just about to say, maybe if you were a professionally trained ninja warrior dude, you probably could do it. Hang on.
Yeah, go to Japan and learn the ninja arts.
Looks like I read some book talking about weapons in the library one time. And it talked about nunchaku. Talking about saying it's a dumb, impractical weapon. You're more likely to hurt yourself than actually use it as a real weapon or something. I'm like, yeah, if you're a dumbass that doesn't know what they're doing. I bet you if you were trained to use those things, you'd be able to use them, right? I mean, hell, Bruce Lee did it. I was trying to see if there's anybody else in the comments that are like...
And get ninja moves and do the Koi moves, you idiot man. Go Japan and ask Hanzo for some help.
Wait, I was trying to see if... anybody else is complaining that, you said this was Mortal Kombat weapons, but you only did one of them because... Yeah, dude uses the Halo first from the title was specifically saying Mortal Kombat. Yeah, there's one. Okay, you're an idiot. I'm downvoting that comment.
Dislike for false advertisement.
Yeah. And a lot of people are saying hang Damn, sorry. Some people are also telling him he's using some of those weapons wrong. Yeah, I'm downvoting that one.
I was watching another YouTuber do it and he was able to do Scorpion Spear move because he said the catchphrase of Scorpion.
Alright, let's move on to the next one. This is the worst retcons in comics by Nick. What did that say? Whoop. Natrix Nate? I think that's how you say that. So here we go. I have quite a few comic ones.
Yo, sorry if I bursted your ears. Oh my goodness. I just hit recording, I swear. But, oh, what an intro. Welcome back, guys. In today's video, we are going to be talking, we are going to be talking about the worst retcons in comics. Now, what a segue, huh? Let's do a factory reset and get ourselves back on track. I'm wiggling my brain a little bit. Bro, I literally sneezed my eyeballs out.
I was watching another YouTuber do it and he was able to do Scorpion Spear move because he said the catchphrase of Scorpion.
So now that we are at a state of equilibrium, let me get back to the sentence that I was going to say before I got sidetracked by myself sneezing. So, to kind of go back into the past and do a little bit of a recap, the Captain Americas, the Superman, the Batmen, I guess,
Get over
they were
here,
at
come
their
here.
most prevalent, I guess, in the American cultural zeitgeist
Get down from
during
there!
the World War II era, right? They were used to sell war bonds and the such, right? They were never seen in regular day life as much as they were at that point in time, and people would argue that that was at their most relevant, but I will counter that because of media and adaptations, they are now a global sensation. People around the world know of them and love them because of these forms of media. And why is that? What is the secret sauce? What aren't they telling us? It's retcons, and retcons in and of itself, what they are a modernization tool. A tool to bring characters into the modern era before they become relics of the past. And to kind of give you my interpretation of retcons and how I perceive it, I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts. So retcons are kind of like adding something, subtracting, or completely maybe reworking something that previously happened in a story to kind of suit your needs going forward, so that you have a new toy in the toy box to play with.
No.
Scorpion says when they have Corvid stay over there. LOL. Did you know Mortal Kombat Shaolin monks dropped a F-bomb with Scorpion and he said the F word, like instead of get over here he said get the fuck over here. Why don't I hear anything?
Alright, sorry.
Or that you can completely remove something and not see it ever again, so that you have a more clear path going forward. Now, to kind of use a bit of an analogy, I'm going to use you. Yeah, you. I'm pointing at you through the screen.
Me?
Can you feel my gaze?
Say that you guys are walking out of your house, right? You walk out of your house and you make a left, because I'm telling you to go left in this story, and you see a giant mosquito. I'm not talking about a mosquito the size of your palm. You see this mosquito. It doesn't seem to be like particularly harmful, but it's kind of scary, right? It's pretty big, the size of a house, maybe two, stacked on top of each other. So you run back to your house to check the media, your phone, the TV, whatever that is, and you learn through them that the government accidentally created this monstrosity and to stay inside of your house. Then years later, we're gonna do a bit of a time skip, right? Young Justice Season 2 style. And in this part of the story, we learn that through the media, once again, that the government was actually lying to us to kind of prevent pandemonium, to prevent a sort of frenzy of the people from knowing this classified information. And this information that they were hiding from us was that aliens do exist, and they were shooting their alien juices, pause, into these creatures, and that kind of created these monstrosities. And through more sightings, we learned that there is like giant mosquitoes, giant flies, giant tarantulas. Welcome back, Australia. But dude, that would be my worst nightmare. But yeah, that is the case. It's kind of like we learned this one thing, and then through retroactive continuity, we learned that actually it's not just this, it was actually this as well. And there are good retcons, and in this video we're going to be talking about
like the government was hiding the Raccoon City bomb from us.
Comic fans, people who have bought monthly comics to completely turn away from the medium. That's the level of complete garbage that we're talking about today. But before we get started, I want to talk about some honorable mentions, and maybe even down below, you guys leave some of your favorite or even hated.
Just a second, y'all. Hang on.
How did it crash?
Okay, sorry, back. It didn't crash. OBS probably disconnected for a bit.
Most hated retcons of all time, maybe even like a controversial retcon that you like that other people might not. Leave it down below. I'd like to hear it. Don't feel afraid, guys. Like, let us know your thoughts. It's a safe space, trust me. But yeah, let's get through some honorable mentions. So, runner-ups, Green Lantern. Now, Green Lantern is a very interesting pick because I love Green Lantern, and the retcon I want to talk about is the Parallax retcon. Now, I'm kind of iffy. The honorable mentions of in this like little section that I'm going to talk about are really iffy because on one hand, they're going to be parts that I like, parts that I dislike. Maybe they're even things that I think are really bad, but people don't mention it enough in like later works for me to think of it as one of the worst. Or there's an easy fix. That is my sort of mindset for the honorable mentions. But going back, Parallax retcon. Now, making it a giant alien fear bug, who's like the entity or embodiment of fear, is really cool. And it was the jumping off point to get us, the reader, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, into this whole new mythos of the emotional spectrum.
Lesson number 1, don't have kids.
Expanding the power system, giving us a really cool one that wasn't just about willpower. I'm pretty sure the Cordian ring, the yellow ring, was actually built on willpower as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, that was the only source of power, and he really did mix things up and made it more interesting and gave us a lot of material for years to come. The greatest era of Green Lantern, in my opinion. But going to the possession aspect and how it possessed Hal Jordan.
Bring it over to me when we finish that tea. You have some more tea? I will make more later. Tomorrow? Yeah. Ooh. Demanding.
That is where it becomes a little bit iffy for me. Because going to the 90s, from him being Parallax to the Spectre, there was one really great arc of redemption and kind of taking that negativity, that evilness out of his heart and saying that it wasn't something that he did.
It was Michael from GTA 5 in the 6th mission of single-player GTA P.
Arc. He went on such a journey. Even in Jeff Johns' run, he had to prove himself to his fellow Green Lanterns to kind of tell everybody that he is a changed man. But taking all of that responsibility out of his hands, it really rubs me the wrong way because yes, he can be possessed, and if it is this way, because there is certain ways of looking at it, because if it's the way that I want it to be, where it's like he was possessed, but he is stronger than the fear entity, his willpower is strong enough to supersede it. If you look at like the recent solicitations of Green Lantern, you could see him actually taming Parallax with his Green Lantern ring, literally making it his dragon in the recent run. And there was certain lines of dialogue in Rebirth like this where it's like he is stronger than it and he has to be stronger than it. But if it was like a Call of Duty lobby, like little kids speaking stuff into his head, saying all of these negative things and kind of pushing him towards it, but he let his negative impulses have the better of him, right, to do all of these heinous things, it would be completely fine because it was still his choice, it was still his hand, he had full control, and he decided to let go. If it was like that, I'm perfectly fine with it. If it's like completely out of his hands and the Parallax entity made him do all of these things, it just makes his character arc not only obsolete, it makes it unable to happen because Hal Jordan as Parallax, while he was a monster, you could tell there was a method to his insanity. Everything that he was doing was for the purpose of creating a better world. And if it was just Parallax, it wouldn't make sense because all that bug cares about is inspiring the most amount of fear. So that is my opinion. What do you guys think? Now let's move on to Batman. Now Batman, I'm gonna be talking about Kevin Smith's, I'm pretty sure it was The Widening Gyre or like Cacophony. I don't know which one it was. Kevin Smith only had 2 Batman runs, and both he completely lost the plot, let me tell you. So, you know the famous Batman Year 1 speech? Where he goes into like Carmine Falcone's place, all the mob bosses, all the corrupt officials, all of them. He breaks in, has a spotlight ready, he blows it up, he turns off the lights, he makes his grand entrance, and he says something along the lines of like, let me just speak it out, ladies, gentlemen, I see you've eaten Gotham's spirit, Gotham's wealth, but your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you are safe. That got me snapping. I know you won't be able to hear it from the noise gate, but like, dude, that was a peak Batman moment. And Kevin Smith came on, doing, jumping his way in, just like, you know what, guys? I have this really good idea, guys. You guys want to huddle up and hear my idea? Yeah, sure, Kevin Smith. What do you want to talk about? So I have this idea, DC, where it's like, in that moment, he was really cool, but actually what happened was like, he had like this little bladder spurt, and he actually himself, and that's all I want to say. Yeah, that was really great. Round of applause, man. That was... Congratulations. I really love that. Go for it. We're down to print it whenever you want. Like, who thought this was the right thing to do? Granted, the reason why it's in honorable mentions is because nobody mentions this ever again other than Kevin Smith in probably his second run. I don't know, but nobody mentions it, and that is for the best. Next, let's move on to Marvel. Let's talk about Jean Grey. Now, Jean Grey, if you guys seen like X-Men 97 or wherever you get your daily dose of X-Men, she was obviously a big part and literally the main villain of the Dark Phoenix saga, right?
Yes.
She was somebody with unimaginable power, immeasurable power, but she lost herself to the Heart of Darkness, right? And this led to her committing next level, all-time Hall of Fame levels of genocide. Like, it's never been seen before what somebody can do with the flick of their wrist, the level of damage that she caused. But at the end of the story, she caught herself and she ends her own life. She realizes everything, and in a poignant moment, she undoes everything, and the day is saved. She killed billions, but I guess to get Jean back to a level or state without the baggage, they made it so this wasn't Jean in the first place. Her body was found, I'm pretty sure, in a cocoon, and in like Jamaica Bay and somewhere like that. But the Phoenix Force wasn't actually bonded to Jean Grey. It didn't even possess her. It just made a copy of her and replaced her while Jean was healing. So it's like, and it's really funny considering characters like Cyclops or like Harley Quinn or even like Scarlet Witch, they're able to do disastrous things but still be redeemed. But for Jean Grey, for some reason, they wanted to completely absolve her by making it a clone copy. And it really just makes the original story just so much more complicated. And there's so many different ways to make her have a redemption arc when they resurrect her, but they decided to do this, and that is just the main canon. The fact that Jean Grey has had the Phoenix and done crazy stuff even after this story happened, and died like 26, 27 times. And we are okay with it, so I don't know what the purpose of this retcon even was, but it's still here, still part of canon. Does Marvel need a reboot? I don't know, let me know. Now let's move on to Hydra Cap, the biggest and weirdest example of things that just went haywire. So in Nick Spencer's run, as many of you guys know, it led to the famous and controversial saying of him basically verbatim stating, "Hail Hydra." And it got retconned. It was actually the main Captain America, and they planted the seeds that he was an undercover Hydra agent this entire time and just needed to be activated. And that would piss off a lot of people, but eventually they came to the conclusion that Red Skull used the Cosmic Cube to reality warp and change the entire perception of not only Steve's memories, but his history into believing that he always supported Hydra and Nazism. In the Secret Empire event, he completely takes over America. He creates this entire like space bubble to prevent any sort of outside interference from like the extraterrestrial like cosmic characters. And he has his way with the planet. I'm pretty sure it was Sam Wilson, the Falcon, or Captain America at this time, I'm pretty sure. He uses the Cosmic Cube to create his ideal version of Steve Rogers. He creates another version and he defeats Hydra Cap. They do this literal mirror match and he ends up winning. And Hydra Cap went to prison, and we're kind of stuck with this Cosmic Cube kerfluffle of a Steve Rogers. And
Yeah,
he
go
is
back for
still
my
this
stuff.
version. The main Cap that we see in comics is this Cosmic Cube variant.
those
The
and your
one that
tummy
was in like
gummies.
Rick Reminder's run, the one that was in Ed Brubaker's run, that version is
Alright, just
completely
making sure you know to
bastardized.
take all of them.
And we just don't talk about it. If you look at the JMS run, I haven't read Captain America since Rick Reminder, I'm not gonna lie, but people have told me that in the JMS run, they have completely ran with it, and the Steve Rogers that we see basically
it for
might
you.
as well be the normal 616 Steve
No,
Rogers,
no.
right? He is essentially the same character with the same memories.
No,
so it's
I
like,
can get up and do
what
that
do we
real
really
quick.
do? But the thing is, what really prevents me from putting it on the list is the fact that there is so many
I like
different
doing
ways
it
to
for
kind
you.
of change or retcon this into its proper
Fine.
position. They could just say that the Cosmic Cap was the real version and the Hydra Cap was just a machination of the Cosmic Cube. They could literally just turn it into that. That's all it needs to be, and they can fix everything. That's why it's not on the list, but if you guys wanted to put him on the list, completely justifiable. Now let's get onto the worst retcons in comic book history. I want to talk about my girl Diana Prince, Wonder Woman.
Alright, hold on. Before you get into that, I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm coming. Okay. Kid is in
Woman,
bed
top
now.
5 and at the very least top 10 superheroes of all time. I don't know why people want to downgrade Diana's character as if she doesn't have motion. If you think about like the real world accolades, she is instrumental in the construction of the lie detector. She was literally a real life UN ambassador for the empowerment of young girls. What are we doing here? Trying to downplay her character and her relevance or importance. If you look at post-crisis, the best universe when it comes to DC, in my opinion, in terms of like quality and creativity, if you look at it, all of her runs from the very instrumental George Perez rework of the character, that entire run, to like William Messner Loebs, who introduced like Artemis and the other tribes of the Amazons, to John Byrne, who I really don't like his writing style. Only in like She-Hulk or I guess X-Men I'll like tolerate it, but like he actually did a solid job with Wonder Woman, adding like Cassie Sandsmark. Then to like Phil Jimenez's run, where it's like some of the best single issues of Wonder Woman that you will ever read, from like Paradise Lost, Paradise Found, A Day in the Life, where you see Wonder Woman get interviewed by Lois Lane, where we see her do her usual superhero things, but also be an ambassador for Themyscira, for like helping underprivileged children who are starving. All of this stuff, to even like the crossover with Batman, where we really got to see the ideology of not only her character, but also Batman in terms of how he sees the gods and the entire Bat family and the Wonder family at the time, to Greg Rucka being one of, if not the best superhero comics of his era. So it's like, even that, we're downplaying her character despite being so consistent. And then even Wonder Woman Historia, just read those 3 single issues. Those are better than 90-95% of your favorite heroes' runs, if not their best run. So it's like, come on now. But either way, the retcon that I want to talk about is the reproduction retcon in the New 52. Now, what really me off is that, I gotta stop myself. is that a lot of people like to think, because of YouTube Shorts and what gets pushed a lot on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok, is the New 52 method of reproduction, which is not even canon. It was only canon for the period, like, I don't know, 3-4 years maybe. But it's like, people consider that to be the truth, and because of that, they use that as a way to downplay her character. And what this is that Amazons, how they reproduced, was through sailors that got too close to Themyscira. They would raid the ship, seduce the men, have their way with them, right? Consensually, I guess, because how would you say no to an Amazon? Let me stop. But then they would kill them, innocent men, mind you, and if they were a girl, they would be raised as an Amazon. If they're a boy, they would be given to Hephaestus, the god of the forge, obviously, who would raise them to be, I guess, weaponsmiths, I'm pretty sure, and that was obviously in exchange for weapons being given to the Amazons when they were ready. And on top of that, Wonder Woman was made the daughter of Zeus, which, if you know anything about Wonder Woman's original character, that goes so against the mythos of literally everything.
Wasn't she,
having a man be so instrumental to her character. If you
yeah, wasn't she like created from clay, kind of like how Galatea was? Wasn't that actually how she was born?
know anything about the OG, or I guess even the post-crisis, the most familiar version, is that Wonder Woman's true origin and what's continuously seen as canon is that she was molded through clay by Hippolyta and then given life and powers through the gods. And that kind of gives us a good reason for why she is so strangely strong when compared to other Amazons who are strong in and of themselves, but Wonder Woman is on a different tier, Superman
like,
level, not to the same degree, but obviously in that same tier. And on top of that, it's also our gateway to a lore drop that I'm about to give you so that you guys can be more knowledgeable. So, the way that Amazons usually reproduce is through asexual means. Now, it comes from something called the Cavern of Souls, which is located at the River Styx, right? The underworld, in the underworld where it's like, with like Medusa and stuff like that. And for centuries, women would be killed by men through hateful acts. And these souls that kind of loop around in a circle are women killed by men, which makes you really think about things like, is Martha Wayne one of those souls? And maybe is she even reincarnated into an Amazon and nobody knows? That would be really fascinating if ever discussed, but probably it's something best left to the imagination. But they were just this spiral of souls for like forever. And then Lady Artemis, what she did behind Zeus's back was make a whole civilization of Amazons through putting these souls into bodies that she created. And that is how Amazons reproduce, right? It's like, if you think about it, there is a never-ending supply of souls. So you don't really have to do all of this edgy things. But for some reason, the New 52 wanted to desecrate Diana's character and the people of the Amazons. And I hate that it is what a lot of people know through shorts, because a lot of tourists and I guess normies will look at that and like, dude, that is the version. And then they'll start spitting this sort of rhetoric against Wonder Woman's character without even reading a single Wonder Woman comic. But it is what it is. Now, before I turn into a hard-boiled mess of just lava and anger, before a Red Lantern ring takes me, let's switch to another character. The Flash, particularly Barry Allen. I want to talk about Flash Rebirth by Jeff Johns, 2009, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not going to say anything very petty about like I hate Barry Allen and his existence and him coming back in Flash Rebirth, which it really was Final Crisis, but him coming back was such a problem. I'm not going to say that because I do like Barry Allen and I think there is a space for him, but what I do hate was all of the retcons. So the first retcon that I don't like is Thawne killing Barry's mother. Now, for Thawne, it makes him more of a hater and makes me like his character more, but the overall mythos of the Flash and the thesis of it and Barry Allen as a whole, it just goes against. As a character, he was somebody who was inspired by his lifehood hero, which was the Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick, through comic books. But giving him this sort of grim, dark, I don't know, rework just because they felt like he needed some sort of tragic backstory to make him interesting was just not the right move, and honestly lessens Barry as a character. But yeah, this is not anything that's going to be changed anytime soon. It's so iconic that the Flash TV show made it canon, and even like Zack Snyder's Justice League and stuff like that. So it's like a lot of people grew up with it, so that's why they're very hard to persuade that this is actually a bad thing. But either way, it's not going to get changed, so there's no problem here, right? I can't change it, you can't change it, it is what it is. The second one is what boils and grinds my gear the most. It is how they try to position Barry Allen as the most important character there is in Flash mythos by saying that he generates the Speed Force every step he takes. which is stupid, all caps, like literally, because if you think about it, the Speed Force itself was introduced in Wally West's run, so that takes importance off of him, and then on top of that, it's making it seem like Barry is what made Jay be able to use the Speed Force, and everyone else in the Flash family use it, so he is the linchpin. If you take him out, there is some sort of causal effect, which didn't really happen because this wasn't even in canon until Flash Rebirth. How does a single person create such an extra-dimensional force that is a literal embodiment of time? Him getting struck by lightning made him create this force that makes you on par with characters like Superman. How does that make sense? And it wasn't even canon for that long, but that's what people think when they talk about the Speed Force, that he generates it with every step, which doesn't make sense. What made the Speed Force so interesting was the mystery aspect. We didn't know what this force was, where it came from, how it actually works. Max Mercury, the Zen master of the Speed Force, he dedicated his life to understand the Force. Wally West, in turn, through all of his efforts, unintentionally I guess, dedicated his life to master it. And then we have Barry Allen here basically do nothing, and apparently he created it. Why? And even despite as much flack as like Cy Spurrier gets for his Flash run, I will stand on business and say Strange Attractor and Until Time Stands Still, those two parts of that one arc that was like 13, 14 issues, is one of, if not the best Flash arc of like recent memory. It's a full in-depth character study of not only Wally West, Linda, and her effects with like postpartum depression, for like a complete character study of Ira West, to expanding on Jai West's character to make me love him even more than I thought I would, making him honestly one of the most unique Speed Force characters ever. But what I liked was how he actually decided to be the one person to finally explain the mystery of the Speed Force. And honestly, I can't really give it much justice. I have discussed this before in previous videos, but I'm going to read an excerpt from DC Fandom, that wiki page, so that you guys kind of understand it, but that it completely remembers that love is literally the thesis of the Flash. Love, if you have it, it powers all, it can do anything. As corny as it sounds, that is the source. But furthermore, speaking of the source, I'm going to talk about it. So here we go. The Archangels, which don't worry about them, revealed the Speed Force and the other forces spring from an omniversal being residing behind or beyond the source wall known as the Deep Change. It is the very source of time itself, with the concept of time described as its dreams. As an all-powerful being, the Deep Change is unable to feel its creation from a grounded perspective. Thus, it allows speedsters to leech its raw temporal energy in exchange for being able to use them as a sensory organ, a symbiotic relationship between it and the conduits who feed it emotion and experience in exchange for their powers. Through history, the Deep Change has used the Speed Force to reach out and alter those with its wonderful gifts, usually in the form of interdimensional lightning storms. That right there is an example of a goated retcon, because do you understand how seamless that is? That is complex, but the fact that we're able to break it down just like that and it rolls off the tongue, that's how you know, and it feels natural. Cy Spurrier was in his bag, but that is honestly why the Flash Rebirth is literally the bane of my existence. Do any of you guys agree? Let me know down below. And finally, on the DC side, the last character that I want to talk about is the Red Hood and his resurrection. Now, I too was once a Red Hood glazer. I was a Red Hood superfan, and then I read his comics, and then I was like, maybe he isn't all that. I guess Nightwing, Tim Drake, and Damian are just better characters, because I understand why people could love Red Hood if they just watch the animated movie. Because yes, is it peak? Yeah. Is the character
yes, Jason
great?
Todd.
Yes. Even in the comic version of Under the Red Hood, the portrayal of Jason as a sort of anti-villain, somebody who was deeply unhinged,
Batman
but his
Arkham
entire
Knight.
philosophy was like, you can't really destroy or defeat crime, you can only really control it. And the fact that his end goal was like really to get Joker and really have Batman understand where he was coming from, but still having this deeply unhinged thing about him, maybe the Lazarus Pit did that. It was really fascinating. But the story itself kind of fell from his true potential, because unfortunately it was kind of stuck in between War Games, a horrible Batman event, and Infinite Crisis, the big universe spanning series. So it's like it had to like deal with all of these things, so it couldn't be as conclusive as a lot of people wanted it to be. And after that, he really did go on a rampage. He kind of had some really iffy moments in terms of writing, being like a Nightwing copycat, killing people. His fights with Nightwing were always really good, like in the Outsiders run, pretty good. His rivalry with him when Nightwing finally became Batman, and his like interactions with like Green Arrow when everything was written by Judd Winnick. All of that stuff was pretty darn enjoyable. Him being a villain or an anti-villain, whichever side you may think, even though he was more psychotic than not. It was very entertaining and I enjoyed it. But as soon as it turned to the New 52, you could tell they really didn't know what to do with the character. New 52 Outsiders was trash, one of the worst comics of all time. I'm going to stand by that. Rebirth Outsiders was pretty good when it was in its original like 20-ish issue run. As soon as it changed into the Outlaw status quo, that's when it became a lot more monotonous to eventually in very bad territory. And ever since then, Red Hood has been in this he's stuck in a loop where there is no progression. He has not cut out a space for himself. Him being accepted into the Bat family is really stupid because you're like, this goes for the entire Bat family, not just Batman, but you have fought against people who did less than what he did, but he's still allowed into the family. And then if you make him too much on this side, then it creates conflict and then they fight again. So it's like, you need to put him in a different city or something like that. Create a new city, create a new like status quo where he's literally like the Punisher for that city, and make him just go off, remove all ties from the Joker. Him using the moniker of his killer, like the former moniker, is just plain hard. You can't get rid of that. But everything else, get rid of all connections. Move him somewhere else. You can't be there. But it really makes it worse. And honestly, I think he really should have died and he should have stayed dead at this point. But what makes it worse is I look at somebody like the Winter Soldier, and let me glaze Bucky for a bit because people don't understand how great of a character he is and how this is the same model. The Winter Soldier Red Hood model, it's the same. And honestly, Winter Soldier is just a better version of this character trope because like obviously there is good Bucky comics before he became the Winter Soldier. Even now, Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing Hellhunters where it's like Bucky being an absolute demon child along with characters like Wolverine and a version of Ghost Rider, right? In World War II, having this special team, that was fire. But then on top of that, there was like flashbacks in Ed Brubaker's run in the Captain America and Bucky storyline, which was like 9 issues in the main Captain America run. But yeah, having Ed Brubaker be your main creator is honestly a godsend because after that, all these things, the original storyline, which is just called The Winter Soldier, you get basically most of the important cliff notes in the movie. But after that, he's always seen planted throughout Ed Brubaker's run to the point where he actually becomes Captain America for a lengthy period of time. And he was great as Captain America. And then after that, when he actually had to leave that role, Brubaker came in and gave 14 issues of Winter Soldier in a solo run, which was great. On top of that, you could see they were really playing the strengths of what his character could be. He reached his potential, in my opinion. And then even there, from like Rick Reminder, to kind of like keep this flow of the main Captain America writer writing for the Winter Soldier in his book, Reminder did a mini-series called The Bitter March, which was like, you know what guys, we haven't really explored what makes Winter Soldier so deadly as an assassin, right? So it took us back to him being an assassin back in the day, and we're like, dude, this man is scary. So we see him as the main protagonist, as a literal villain role. Then we have Bucky Barnes the Winter Soldier, one of my favorite runs, which makes him a cosmic character, right? He takes Nick Fury's position as man on the wall, so he protects Earth from intergalactic threats. And he meets characters like Loki. He fights like intergalactic drug smugglers, like an alien queen. There's so much stuff in that, and it's also very psychedelic, trippy, visually stunning. One of the best looking books out there, and just very creative. I never thought they would do a Winter Soldier book like that, and just going back to a more grounded style. Kyle Higgins did a book where he had to fight somebody who experienced something just like him, but a kid. It's like a mirror, but even more sad. Like, it's just very heartbreaking, but also pushes Winter Soldier further into his path of becoming a hero. So they did literally all they could with the character, and they're still giving him great stuff, like putting him on the Invaders. Chip Zdarsky did a great run with him on the Invaders team, like Namor and Cap and all that stuff. So it's like, there is no shortage of great Bucky stories. The fact that I can name top 10 Winter Soldier books, but I can't for Red Hood, should tell you something. Red Hood is obsolete. Kill him, or somebody do a complete rework. He needs it. Thank you. But yeah, now let's move on to Marvel. Kind of springing off my last video, I want to talk about the Sentry now. As we know, Sentry is a Silver Age character brought into the modern day, and I'm not going to talk about all of the background stuff of him being a Silver Age character and like him being best friends of like Reed Richards and stuff like that. I hate that too, because every time that they go back in the past, there is no continuity being upheld because people forget that Sentry should be there at the beginning because of the mind wipe. But nobody brings it up, and I hate the inconsistencies that this one character leads because of that. But removing that entirely, what I want to talk about is Bendis and what he did with him in New Avengers and how he really didn't understand the character. And I know a lot of people in my previous video said that they really did like what Bendis did, but I want to just get my take out. So the Void in of itself, if you look at the serum, where as a kid, his origin as a kid was that something along the lines of he was trapped in this sort of, it's a very Silver Age story of him getting hit and bombarded by cosmic rays or whatever, some sort of cosmic science accident, and he gets these powers, right? Very on the nose, right? You could see the tropes that it was kind of imitating and kind of making fun of, but obviously in a loving way. But it got retconned to him being a drug addict, where it's like, okay, why? Like, where did this come from? But on top of that, it's like, let me just read this panel here. It was like this. He was an addict, he was a junkie, and guess what? As only a junkie can, he fell backwards into accidentally discovering his ultimate drug, the ultimate high. He found what he called a serum. So you're telling me, him being a junkie, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna find a drug. Somehow found a way into this experimental lab, got this thing, and got the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. This doesn't make any sense. Is this a parody? Oh, he's a drug addict and he just found this? Why did he get it? Why did nobody else get it? Why does it say do not touch? Project Sir, look, they paint it as a serious thing. It's even in black and white, but this just seems like very inept in some like writing ability, because there's so many questions that can be asked by this poor decision of changing his origin. But what I really want to talk about is the Void. Now the Void kind of balanced and interacted with the serum that Sentry had, or the powers that Sentry got, where it's like, just like Steve's serum, it amplifies everything that is already there, right? And for Sentry, it amplified all the negative thoughts and all the mental health issues that he was having, and it kind of manifested itself in the Void. I don't want to say a split personality, but kind of, right? It created this alternate version where it's like he is just pure hate and he wants to destroy things, right? He is his own worst enemy. A lot of people have that as a sort of moniker. Somebody like a Daredevil or a Green Arrow tend to be very, or even Batman, they tend to be very self-destructive, but Sentry literally makes this as literal as can be. So what was really weird is that there's so many different aspects of the Sentry that gets ignored. So in one circumstance, we see that the Void was created by this sort of psychic virus, and Emma Frost quote-unquote fixes him. He is cured. But then in the next miniseries, it gets completely ignored. So we're already starting with the inconsistencies. And now, in what they use for the drug aspect, they kind of position it in a way as that's the reason why he was so easily manipulated by Norman Osborn, because he is a junkie. But it's like, this Sentry becomes such a weak character because of it. It's like, are you serious? This character that seems so important, strong, kind of, I guess, noble, but overall he just had this presence to him. And the fact that because he's a junkie and this is his origin story and this, that, and that, he's able to get manipulated by, like, that's like saying Superman could get manipulated by, I don't know, like Veronica Cale, Wonder Woman's equivalent to Lex Luthor. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like the amount of damage that he's done, and on top of that, instead of making it his negative emotions, he tried to paint the Void as literally a biblical, from my knowledge, from what I remember, a biblical angel of death that bonded to him when he got the serum. So it bonded to him the exact time that he decided to drink the serum because he's a drug addict. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, how much of a mess this creates and how a lot of people at this time took him to be less of a character than what he really should be? Sentry has a lot of potential, but Marvel and Bendis really fumbled the bag to the point that Sentry was in such a horrible state that he's been dead for like 5-6 years and nobody really cares. He was a big player in the Thunderbolts movie and nobody's talking about resurrecting him. That's how bad it was. And Marvel, you need a great writer to get on the character ASAP. Oh, it is what it is. Next character. Honestly, it's more of a big kind of conglomeration, but I want to talk about, well, I'm going to call it the mutant anomaly. Now, what I mean by this is how editorial at Marvel tried to change people from being mutants, or to be mutants, for no reason other than probably maybe brand synergy, and trying to bend and mold things with the MCU so that everything kind of works together. But if you look at, let me give you some examples. So the first one was in, I'm pretty sure, Uncanny Avengers Axis, the Axis Power event. So Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were revealed to not be Magneto's children and therefore were not mutants at all. This just makes things unnecessarily convoluted and I guess less resonant, everything that happened beforehand, if we could just hand wave it away and just say that they weren't related at all. So all of these poignant moments and just insane, crazy ones that are completely immoral, all of it is for us at that point. And like with Kamala Khan, when she was killed in the horrible Death of Miss Marvel event, just to be reborn like a month or a couple days later in a new run, like Kamala Khan, New Mutants. Kamala Khan has been reborn anew, Miss Marvel, New Mutant. That is a tagline. She became a new mutant from being previously Inhuman. And it's not only does it take away from the Inhumans, which honestly they need a win, they really need a win now, but is this to match with Miss Marvel from the MCU? I haven't seen the MCU, but was she a mutant in that? Let me know down below. And I guess furthermore, Franklin Richards was retconned to not be a mutant. And I don't remember if it was because he reality warped to like not be a mutant anymore or stuff like that, but it's like, I don't understand the thought process. What makes them better or worse for being a mutant? Kamala Khan here, she's just going to be one of the many pixels on the background of an X-Men comic. They're just going to forget her unless she's given another solo run. If we look at Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, that was backtracked as soon as they could. If you look at Franklin Richards, him being a mutant allowed him to be like drafted into the Krakoa, I guess the problems that happened in Krakoa as an ally to the mutants. And it led to a lot of internal struggle between like the Richards and like the Fantastic Four family, and the fact that they had their son or their nephew or whatever be drafted in a war or in a battle with them having to stay back on the sidelines. There's a lot of things that they did and could be doing right now if they kept everything the same. Miss Marvel being an Inhuman, that was created and a thing by the original creator. Why are you trying to disrespect what the creator made in the first place? All of this is just a stain on a lot of them, making things needlessly confusing, especially when you consider that a lot of these will be reverted back in 2 to 3 years. You're just making Marvel history more of a jumbled mess. And now we move on to the greatest sinner of retcons of all time, our boy Peter Parker, Spider-Man in the flesh. Honestly, I could make a whole video on Spider-Man himself, but I'm not a masochist, so let's just go through the list. So the first one is Sins Past, and dude, if I need to explain this to you, it's horrible. Okay, it basically character assassinated both Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn. It made it so that Norman actually slept with Gwen when she was a teenager and had twins. They had twins.
Oh yes, I remember that now. I remember that now. Oh, creepy. Yuck. No. Creepy. Wrong.
Literally smeared Gwen's legacy. And the fact that it was only retconned in like 2022, 2021 is absolutely vile. Marvel, what were you waiting for? The Clone Saga was very fascinating because it had this sort of claim that Ben Reilly, the person that we thought was a clone, was the original Spider-Man, and Peter was the clone the whole time. And everybody was mad who heard about this because not only was it a long story arc and very confusing as it is, the fact that it made it seem like the past like 30, 40 years. When was it again? 60s? So like the last like 30 years of Peter's comics were just us following a clone is just so damaging. It's like, dude, we weren't even following the genuine article. The character that I love is not even the real deal. Why Marvel? And it did so much damage that they eventually had to roll back on what they did.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it was a big, bold move, and I advocate for these certain swings, but that one...
They done picked a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies.
You guys should have known was that was a miss. Furthermore, let's go on to Harry's death. Now, Harry's death has been retconned multiple times, but the worst offender was when he became Kindred, right? They revealed that his soul was like in hell and he became a demon-like villain with supernatural abilities.
He's got
So you're already making a character with a complex legacy. More complicated. It's literally the name of the game when it comes to Spider-Man retcons. Now there's like even, what else? The Spider Totem. And I honestly hate that a lot of the retcons I'm talking about is from the JMS era, J. Michael Straczynski era, because that is my favorite, or at least top 3 favorite Spider-Man runs of all time. And for the most part, despite its problems, I think it is a masterclass in modern day superhero storytelling. But I feel like a lot of things were either out of his control and he had to play with it, or he did things that other writers would just bastardize. So the Spider Totem stuff was very interesting because it added a level of cosmic significance to Spider-Man, but also made it seem less of a complete accident, something that could have happened to anybody, to like literally making Spider-Man something of legend, right? He literally was written in the web of destiny to become Spider-Man. And yes, while obviously we know Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man is destiny because of all the multiple alternate like universe versions, that was in universe the starting point. Peter Parker 616 is the singular dot on the graph, and him being that, becoming Spider-Man, was a complete accident, and that led to ripple effects to other universes. That's how it should have been looked at, but unfortunately not. Eventually this did lead to like the Spider-Verse and like more Lun and characters like that. But as the years go by, as we get yearly Spider-Verse events rehashing the same thing over and over again, as we see characters like Morlun, who was once really cool and menacing, get brought down into villain of the week territory, it really shows you how a great idea can run itself into the ground. Yes, I do prefer a more science-based origin, but JMS, he hit his idea in the park with flying colors. And the fact that the rest of Spider-Man editorial just smashed every single bit of the Spider-Verse and Spider Totem mythology for its worth really is one of the biggest tragedies in Spider-Man comics. And finally, obviously, I have to talk about One More Day. I feel like all of you know what this is. Peter Parker making a deal with Mephisto to trade his marriage to save Aunt May's life, a woman who should have already been dead, who's probably like 200 years old, maybe 500. She probably lived in the biblical era, maybe even seen the plague. But it's like, why would you do this, Peter? It erased one of the longest standing marriages in comics, just for quote-unquote relatability, because people can't really relate to married Peter for some reason, even though as you grow up and grow older, you're supposed to grow with the character. And seeing ourselves like kind of like a Wally West situation. What I love about Wally West is that he literally is Peter Parker, but just allowed to move on. Peter can't. He has to stay in this singular spot of not knowing what's going to happen the next day, not being able to provide for himself. He doesn't even know if he'll be able to make enough rent for the month. But it's like, dude, you're one of the smartest characters alive. You're not inhibited by your
and May did her time, why ruin your future?
You are a 30-year-old man. What is up with you? You gotta wake up, Peter. But that just isn't happening. Hopefully Joe Kelly makes a switch, does something bold, but I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a new video goes live. And remember to leave down below your favorite or least favorite retcons, or even things that you found to be controversial but you thought were done for the betterment of that character going forward. But yeah, see you all next time.
I just
Take
can't
care.
let my boy win.
Comic book villains spend their free time doing the most diabolical activities. They don't have...
Sorry. Okay, so this one is called Supervillain Outfits Make No Sense by Dr. Dulio. So let's check that out.
good hobbies and aren't productive members of society. You know, what if instead of trying to rule the world and torture people, you guys just learned how to cook, joined a run club, played some League of Legends? No, they would prefer to commit the most heinous crimes ever. But perhaps the...
Hey, come on now. I don't think anybody who plays League of Legends is a productive member of society.
biggest crime committed by some of these villains. Fashion crimes. I don't know what's trending over on Villainstagram right now, but why is everyone wearing the most insane color combos?
I'm the most evil person ever, so I'm going to wear green and purple.
Okay, now this is the Joker, okay? He gets a pass because he's freaking insane anyways, so why wouldn't he? And he's a clown! Of course he's gonna wear something bright and wacky looking.
Was there a meeting?
Oh, I see. Everybody's copying Joker.
because there is way too many for this to just be a coincidence. Now look, I'm not trying to police fashion. In fact, I'm somewhat of a fashion risk taker myself, but I don't want to be boomed by some guy wearing this bullshit. If I get offed by it in this fit, I'm respawning, bro. I'm gonna have to get another save file because this is unacceptable. Can you at least respect your victims enough to throw on a little calm fit before ending them?
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy, the Riddler, back at it again. Come get ready with me.
To blow up a hospital if they can't solve a Rubik's Cube. Now, wait a second. While I got you here, Riddler, Edward Nigma, we gotta talk about what you're wearing. Take us through his fit. So, for the jacket, he's got on that.
Ooh, he went there.
Huh? And the hat, he's rocking that. What? And for the pants, he's rocking that. My nigga, you bright green with the question mark fit? Is this tough in Gotham, bro? This what the Gotham hoes like? Tell me, because I need to know for reasons.
Okay, I do not like the spandex outfit. The suit, yeah, that's good. I do like the suit. I don't like the spandex, yeah, corny spandex thing. I don't like that outfit.
But it's not just DC. There's Marvel villains too. Look at Green Goblin, one of the most iconic Spider-Man villains, an absolute menace. I'll just have a few questions about the fit. I'm gonna keep it respectful though, from the top. Okay. Norman Osborn isn't just an evil billionaire. He's also a white man. That's wavy as fuck. This guy's got the crispiest ocean on his head. I mean, it's drip or drown out here. For the fit, he wears a do-rag, which I can understand considering the waves. I also went purple dewy on him a few times, as you can see here. And before y'all go in the comments,
Dulio, nigga, you short as hell.
I'm actually not, okay? Hold on. No. Everybody in this picture is 7 feet tall. And y'all would call me short before you notice the biceps popping? But let's get back to Green Goblin. So he's walking around.
Hey, look here. We respect our short kings, okay? We love our short kings.
With the Piccolo ones, limited edition evil purple colorway, jack-o'-lantern bomb year-round. I mean, I get it, Halloween is dope. Definitely designer on the toe bag. And you know what, so far the fit is coming together nicely. Just what's going on here, man? Why are you wearing trunks? That's for the good guys. You can't just do that. The trunks are supposed to make us feel safe. I don't feel safe right now. Take off your drawers, man. So this is the bright green bodysuit, and then you went to purple on top.
Pause.
But this picture here makes me think it's all one piece, like those thermals that come with the t-shirt. In that case, how do you put this on? Is this a one piece, like, entirely? Is this zip in the back like a dress? And if it's 2 pieces, instead of a purple Speedo, like I had originally thought, is this like a purple leotard? Am I overthinking this? Maybe. But my questions still haven't been answered. And I have many, many more questions.
Professional hater analysis. Hating is done by a pro.
How's everyone doing? It is the Dr. Dulio. Before we continue, throw the boy a little.
Pleased to meet you.
Like, love, subscribe.
Well,
let's get back to it though. Dark.
I will go ahead and give you a like. You've entertained me thus far.
Side is the ruler of Apocalypse, who feeds on the despair and misery of others. The greatest enemy of the Justice League, and one of the biggest threats in the entirety of DC. And probably not someone you'd want at your little cousin's birthday party. Now, I say all of these things about him, but when you look at him, and I mean really look at him, if we were to do a quick fit inspection here, so for the fit to destroy the Justice League and take over the universe, you went all black, thigh-high boots on him. And then, look, I don't want to be a prude, but is this not a little bit inappropriate? Are we not showing too much leg here? Is this a thirst trap of some sort? And is this the t-shirt short skirt combo? Or is it a dress with a belt? Do you have that wrapped around there to accentuate your waist and show all your enemies that your body is T, bro? Skirt, dress, either way, you better not be freeballing under there, my nigga. I mean, if you were, I wouldn't stop you. Nobody could stop you, to be honest. Now that I think about it, that's probably a power move. Imagine he's sitting on his throne when one of his subjects come in to do some broke, like, Lord Darkseid, can we get more funding for Apocalypse Evil public schools? And he's just there, man-spreading, airing out the glorious Darkseid beef. I get it, bro. And then to finish off the fit, is that a helmet? Is that a shiesty? Is that a hijab? Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum ya ukhti. But nah, seriously, who put this shit together, bro? Who is his stylist? They got you dressed like a goth mommy, bro.
Lord Darkseid, forgive me, sire, but I can't focus on my evil experiments because I'm too distracted by your beautiful gray-toned thighs. I'm going to have to bring this to HR.
What did he just say? Don't threaten me, nigga!
See? That's why he can get away with that look. I was gonna say, I mean, I know this is all just like to be mostly jokes, you know. But not only can he just get away with that because of who he is, but I mean, they're on a different planet, Apocalypse. You know, things is different over there. You see the way everybody else dresses there? Like, come on.
Here is my personal problem with Galactus. I'm not saying that
Omega,
Galactus's fit isn't
Lambda
tough.
7XL9 the arming
but I
keeper
do
dark
think
side.
when you're that big, having a helmet like that is irresponsible. Let me explain. Let's say, for example, Galactus is walking and scrolling on YouTube Shorts, watching some brain rot, and then he drops his phone. Now imagine when he bends down to pick it up, the two thingies on the side of his helmet extinguish the sun, just completely turn off the lights, and then all life in whatever area he's in is cooked. Or maybe he's chilling with Silver Surfer, and Double S goes, yo, Big G. And when he turns his big ass head around, he smacks some asteroids towards Earth's direction. The asteroids land in modern day Mexico, and then the dinosaurs go extinct. With great power comes great responsibility. And while we're talking about Galactus, Silver
No, I'm not gonna lie, those are good points.
Surfer is literally butt naked with a surfboard. I know some people like to put more emphasis on the accessories than the actual fit, but to leave the entire fit at home and announce the arrival of Galactus full commando with a surfboard, what's bugging me isn't so much the nakedness. You're not born with clothes on. But being naked with a surfboard, that's so impractical. Just because people skinny dip doesn't mean they skinny surf. Or do they? Same thing with Venom.
you don't
Is
know.
Venom technically naked? Under the symbiote naked for one, right? Like, is there straight symbiote to booty contact? And just how tightly is the symbiote holding you? Is it digging in all your crevices? But then
I mean, why do you think people ship them so much?
the symbiote is also alive and not wearing any clothes. The symbiote is also naked. But then, if they're bonded together and considered one being, then that one being is definitely naked. This guy is naked to the third power.
Keep showing the Venom twerking.
Bro, Eddie Brock, more like Eddie Freak. I feel like I've been hating too much, so I'm gonna stop and list some villains whose outfits I really like. Mysterio is very fashion forward. He's a risk taker. Nobody else is leaving the house with a big ass ball on their head, but he's swaggy always. Comics, animated, video game, live action. Mysterio is always gonna put that on. Now I can't say the same for some of the other Sinister Six members. Electro, I'm sorry, but this ain't it. And even worse than this, Jamie Foxx, what's going on here, man? Before he became Electro, what is this? What is that hair? You need to let that go. This man's got a transparent comb over. I can describe your scalp with great accuracy, bro. And then he became Electro. How did he lose his hair and become less bald? He doesn't even feel bald here. He's just blue. And how did his teeth become straight? Was that ever explained? I haven't seen a movie in a long time. Hey, but why?
I will say that. Why did his teeth suddenly go? Why did he suddenly get a good, like dental work? That doesn't make sense. I could understand the hair going missing, because of electricity, maybe it singed it off. But, like, why would that fix your teeth? And also, I thought we were over-shaming people for having gap teeth like that. I thought Madonna made that shit fashionable.
Watch out who you're mean to in high school. Cause then he gets the glow up of doom and gets the exaggerated swagger of a black man. Like, when did this happen? You were literally a nerd, bro. Then he just becomes Jamie Foxx and he gets a crisp hairline. And when I say crisp, I mean crisp. Look at this.
Crap.
He just becomes Jamie Foxx and he gets a crisp hairline. And when I say crisp,
This isn't the best clip, but he had the straightest hairline I've ever seen in a movie, no cap.
I mean crisp. Look at this. Look, I know I said I was done hating, and I immediately went back to hating. That's on me. Sometimes I can't help myself. Let's go back to spreading positivity. Kraven the Hunter. He is absolutely fitted up. Is Rhino a furry? I know that kind of came out of nowhere, but he's in a full animal suit. And if Rhino is a furry, is Vulture also a furry? Vulture, what is this, bro? And if Spider-Man is fighting a lot of furries, is he like targeting them? Is Spider-Man a bigot? Is he committing hate crimes?
No.
Dr. Doolio.
Now. There are some wackos and degenerates in every community, even furries. So those are just the wacko degenerate furries that, like, the rest of the furries distance themselves from. They're not allowed to come to FurryCon.
Asks
They get
the
kicked out
hard-hitting
of the
questions.
convention center.
Mongol is not Mongolian. He is not Napoleon. He is.
Now, am I the only one that confuses him with Darkseid sometimes, and then I remember, oh wait, Darkseid is like purple. They're very similar looking. They just got different skin colors.
He's an alien, and he's killed millions of civilians. Extra wide neck leotard. I mean, I get it though. Gotta show off those clavicles. I don't have much to say about him, really. I just couldn't end the video without mentioning that he's wearing headphones. What brand are these, man? Are they Beats? Beats by Doctor Strange? Beats Solo? Beats Solo Men Grundies? What are they, HyperX? HyperX Men? The new Sony? The new Stonies? Stony Stark? Are they Raycons, maybe? Like Raycon? Are they Raycon shoe? All right, I've had my fun. Let's switch it up and piss off as many people as possible by going through a bunch of villains rapid fire. Mr. Mystic Pitlick, Mr. This That Bullshit, Penguin. That fit is not
Mixoplix or something like that.
gonna make you any less ugly, bro. Dr. Octopus, the door is that way. Two-Face, now you know damn well. Magneto, I don't know if
Hey, what's wrong with Two-Face's fit? It fits him.
the fit is tough, or if the fit is ass and he makes it tough. And I'm not sure which scenario would be more tough, but he is so tough. Mr. Freeze, nah, he cold. Mephisto, nah, he fire. Kang the Conqueror, get that yam off your face. The Lizard, you know the ripped lab coat here kind of reminds me of old school Dr. Mundo. Ah, man, I miss old Dr. Mundo. The Leader, your head is big as shit.
You had to do it with that clip. Damn, look at my fucking forehead.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Anti-Monitor, well, you got that shit on. Kingpin, well, you got that shit on. Dr. Doom, well, you got that shit on. Poison Ivy, well, you got that shit on. Catwoman, take that shit off. Come see me after this. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Take it off, but, you know, not in a mean way.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Good video. I like
I'm
that guy.
still sat here thinking about Two-Face, bro. This man went half and half suit to match the burns on his face.
Yeah.
A half and half suit?
Mm-hmm.
A life of crime was his only option.
That was really good. I like that.
Before we start.
Whoa, wait a minute. So, the Nexus. Okay. Batman interviewed Spider-Man for Gotham and it got awkward animated parody by the Nexus. So here we go.
You talk too much, improvise too much, and you do not inspire fear.
Wow. No handshake, no welcome, no thanks for saving Queens? This is already my weirdest job interview.
Peter Parker. Intelligent, resourceful, reckless, emotionally transparent. That last one gets people killed in Gotham.
I'm not reckless. I adapt fast. There's a difference. And emotionally transparent is a very rude way to say friendly neighborhood.
Friendly does not work here. Gotham respects two things: fear and results.
Good thing I get results. Fear just isn't really my brand. I went with trauma, but approachable.
Traumatized, but approachable.
And that attitude is exactly why Gotham would test you by midnight.
New York tested me before breakfast. Aliens, killers, mad scientists, rent.
Rent.
I'm still here.
Gotham doesn't just attack your body. It studies your hope. Then it poisons it.
Then maybe Gotham doesn't need another monster in a dark room. Maybe it needs someone people can actually trust.
Trust is fragile. Fear is efficient.
That sounds cool until you realize your whole strategy is basically weaponized childhood issues.
Uh-oh. Think you hit a nerve there.
Careful.
Right. Sorry. Reflex joke. Stress response. Also, kind of true, but mostly sorry.
3 gunmen, 2 hostages, 1 bomb, 10 seconds. What do you save first?
People. Always. The people. Web the trigger hands. Blind the bomb sensor. Pull both hostages low. Then improvise the rest.
You prioritize well. Your weakness is that you still believe everyone can be saved.
No.
That
I
is
believe
not
you
a
have to
weakness.
try. Because the second you stop trying, you start becoming the thing you fight.
Now, Batman does try to save everybody. He even tries to save the villains.
Gotham punishes people who hesitate.
And New York punishes people who pretend pain makes them smarter than everyone else.
Joker, Scarecrow, Riddler, Freeze. They don't fight for...
Is this AI voices? Because it's making mistakes. Like prioritize whatever he said instead of prioritize. And then he just said Scarecrow instead of Scarecrow. Did this guy not proofread his scripts before he fed it into the AI machine?
For chaos alone. They study psychology, weakness,
Defiantly.
obsession. Could you handle that?
Defiantly.
I fought a guy with metal arms, a flying psychopath, a man made of sand, a lizard scientist, and a guy of fishbowl throwing illusions. Your city's not normal, but neither is mine.
Then answer this honestly. Are you here because you think Gotham needs you? Or because you want to prove you belong beside me?
I'm here because every city gets told it's too broken. And every time somebody still tries anyway, people survive.
That
Very-
answer was better than I expected.
Yes, very noble.
That is the nicest thing anyone in this cave has said to me, including the giant penny.
Including the giant penny.
The penny stays.
Okay, follow-up question. Is all this moodiness included in the job, or that just your management style?
You are not approved for Gotham. You are under observation.
That is the most Batman way possible to say yes.
Interview's over. Come with me. Gotham is not learned from a chair.
Cool. Orientation tour. Very inspiring. Slightly serial killer energy, but inspiring. Okay, I tried to ignore it before, but why do you own a giant coin?
To remember that even victory can leave evidence.
That did not answer the question at all.
Rule 1. If
It's a trophy from one of the very first Two-Face battles. They were tied to a giant penny.
Riemio 19 played Fartraverb 1 for 200 channel points.
If you hear laughter in an empty alley, do not follow it underground.
You keep saying things that sound made up, and somehow legally important.
Rule 2. If a question mark glows green, do not touch it.
There is no universe where that should need saying.
And yet,
What do you
assume
get
every
when you make a
hostage
fart
knows less than
sound?
they say. Assume every criminal knows more.
Stank?
Your trust issues have trust
A scared goth.
Good. You're listening.
I'm listening, I'm judging, and I'm a little afraid of your urban planting.
We listen and we don't judge, Spidey.
This city rewards patience more than speed.
You say that to the guy whose entire survival
Riemio
plan is
19
moving
played
first.
Fartraverb 2 for
Look at
200
the alley.
channel
Now that one's
points.
loud.
Now look above it.
Second guy on the fire escape. And someone in the car pretending not to watch the alley.
Never drop into the center if the shadows are offering you a better angle.
Got you again.
Yeah, because that one's
So
loud.
even gravity needs permission in Gotham.
Noise is often bait. Silence, where the real work hides.
That is the most exhausting sentence anyone has ever said with a straight face.
Every window is either a witness or a weapon.
Whoa.
You really do romance people through paranoia.
What do you see?
Fresh chalk. Scuff marks. Someone wants the first responder looking down instead of our up.
Good. How are you alive? Routine.
That is not a routine. That is untreated commitment.
Never chase fear underground alone.
So Gotham has rules, side quests, and boss
Listen,
levels.
and we don't judge
Great.
Spider-Man, who I will tell your screc to everyone.
Final lesson. Hear that?
Yeah,
What do you do?
I don't dive straight in. The scream is too clean, too isolated. I check roofs and exits, reflections, then move.
Why?
Because if Gotham wants me to run, Gotham is probably lying. Also, the van across the street has two people pretending not to watch the roof.
Good. You're still under observation.
Honestly, that's the warmest thing you've all night. Please tell me
All night.
that's not part of the test.
Move.
Guys, it's... Oh, shit. I hit a button. My bad.
Before we start.
Sorry. I hit a button. Look. Sorry about that. This is really entertaining, but please proofread your scripts before you put them into the AI machine, because you've got a lot of typos.
Honestly, that's the warmest thing you've all night.
See,
Please
you
tell
missed a
me
word
that's
there.
not part of the test.
Move.
But otherwise, that was good. Just please try to, proofread your scripts, buddy. I'll give it a like. Alright. Oh.
We interrupt this.
Speaking of AI, now listen. I know a lot of people don't like, they call it AI slop. Well, look, I like it when it's used creatively for something that would be impossible otherwise, like this project. And when it is done for a non-profit. You're not trying to make any money off
Did
of
you
it.
Tiduk is having a movie for the last act of Tiduk.
What? Oh, anyways. Yeah. When you do it just for fun and not for money, because, yeah. That's not like art. It's just you're feeding info into a computer and the computer poops something out. You didn't really do any real... Well, I wouldn't say you didn't do any real work, but not to the extent of, real art. So, yeah. I only like AI if it's well done, and it's creative, and you are not making profit off of it. You're not trying to pass it off as your own original work or anything, and you're not trying to make money off of it. Alright, that being said, here we go. This is Super Friends Secret Origin Episode 1 New Friends. Animeta AI Media, yeah. So basically, all the classic live action...
Amazing digital circus movie to tell the story after what King did to Kane after he deleted from the show of Digital Circus.
No, thanks. Spoilers, I haven't seen that last episode. But alright. Oh god, I'm gonna sneeze again. Hang on. Oh my god, sorry. Ugh, that was slow coming. Anyway. I saw
Bless you.
Thank you. I saw a little bit of it where they basically take all the classic live action superhero actors and make like a Justice League thing out of it. But you'll see. But I didn't watch the whole thing. I was like, oh, I need to save this.
This broadcast to bring you a breaking news alert.
We are reporting on a terrifying development tonight. Alien lizard men have begun a full-scale invasion of our city.
Oh no, not the lizard men.
We are witnessing
Can
the
we watch the
unthinkable.
amazing digital episode 8?
Invaders are everywhere, and the city is falling.
Witnesses report seeing these creatures of unspeakable horror
maybe next
rampaging
time.
through the streets.
my god, now they're in the new studio.
Where are they?
Where are our heroes?
Marvin, stop it! You're embarrassing yourself and the rest of us. In fact, you're both fired. Take Wonder Dog with you. He stinks.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
I mean, I know it's a parody film, but damn, Superman, come on.
Superman.
You know, I could probably just handle this myself.
By just
I don't
blowing
know
up
why I let
property.
you two talk me into relaunching the Justice Society of America.
Wonder Woman.
No, we're the Justice League. The Justice Society name got retired with my old friends.
Well, we should recruit their successors then.
Oh, please tell me it's the guy from the 1990 Flash series. Please tell me that's who they got.
Adam West Batman. Love the Adam West Batman.
Yeah. I think it is him.
That's the thing, I'm just a guy who can run fast. I'm just trying to keep my one little city safe. I'm not like you and Clark. I'm not trying to be the greatest American hero or anything like that.
Is it him? The hair didn't.
Someday you didn't get rid of a bomb.
Oh yeah, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Who the God is Hal Jordan?
What do you think, Carol? Should I join up with those guys?
Do it, do it, do it, do it.
I mean, Bruce doesn't even have any bat powers. He's just some rich guy in a cape.
Brother, really? Wonder Woman's like, don't you be dissing my man like that.
Aquaman.
We have
Not
to
be dissing my favorite hero, Green
There's a
Lantern.
lot at stake that goes beyond our separate kingdoms.
You think I don't know that, Diana? This is my world too, you know.
I would like to see Jason as Aquaman.
Oh, Jason Momoa, yeah. Well, they're trying to model it after the classic versions. Oh, God. Oh, my God, that's kind of terrifying.
There. Look at the coordinates. They found their way around the perimeter defense.
According to this
It
readout,
like the
energy
Nemesis
signature
monster
is
from Re
fluctuating
3.
wildly.
Mm-hmm.
That can only mean one thing. What we're dealing with here is a
What do you call it,
alien
Goth?
invasion.
I don't remember that character's name.
I mean the Nemesis monster.
And the lizard men
I
are the
don't
least
remember.
of
I
our
think they were
problems.
just parasites.
We've got to stop Starro before it's too late.
Starro, that's his name. Thank you, Batman. Flash William Cap. Oh, Sam Jones. That is Flash Gordon, right? Sam Jones. 40s Flash Jimmy Stewart. 40s Green Lantern James Cagney, Carol Ferris. Hawkman as himself. Okay, that was pretty good. Give that one a like.
In 1992.
Okay, this one is Mortal Kombat 1995, what it got right and wrong, fighter by fighter.
Mortal Kombat didn't just show up in arcades.
Oh, I'm sorry. By Nerdemia? Nerdemia? Okay.
It kicked the door down and took over the place. 7 fighters, each with their own look, style, and moves that felt completely unhinged compared to everything else on the market. And they weren't cartoons or pixel mosh either. These were digitized actors, real bodies,
I think the Nemesis monster
faces,
is called something like
real
any
martial
attack.
arts,
Yeah.
all stuffed into a cabinet and unleashed on unsuspecting kids with pocket change. 3 years later, Hollywood looked at all that chaos and said, yeah, we can do that. So today, I'm checking how well the movie understood the fighters. Not just the costumes or the special moves, but the actual soul of each character. What they were built to do, what they represent, and why people kept pumping quarters into the machine like their lives depended on it.
Liu Kang.
Liu Kang.
While Scorpion was dragging people across the screen and Sub-Zero was ripping out spines, Liu Kang showed up with a fireball and a flying kick. That's it. No teleport, no gimmick, no holy crap, look at that special move. Bruce Lee
Why did Raiden
filtered
sound
through a
so old
Midway
in the
arcade cabinet.
1995 movie?
Everything
That
about
didn't
him,
sound old.
the look, the moveset, even the
sounded cool.
fatality, tells you exactly who the hero is supposed to be. Look at this finisher, a flip kick and an uppercut.
Yeah.
Compared to Kano's or
He
Scorpion's,
did, I mean the voice.
that's almost polite. Liu Kang is the one fighter in the game who never really goes dark, and that is not an accident. The movie got him better than anybody else on the roster. Robin
they
Shou
had-
was a former Hong Kong stuntman that
Well, they had to. He was the star of the movie.
had worked with Jackie Chan. So he wasn't just playing Liu Kang, he was helping shape how Liu Kang moved. He pushed for Hong Kong-style wire work in a Hollywood movie. And director Paul W.S. Anderson later said Mortal Kombat was one of the first American productions to use it properly. Years before The
Nice.
Matrix took it to another level, this movie was already doing the groundwork. Shu wasn't approximating Liu Kang, he was translating him. The film also gives him a dead brother, something the game never did. In the arcade, Liu Kang's
That is now a Bertle in Mortal Kombat 11 called Classic Kicks now.
Fun fact, the other day, or the other night rather, at work, I had a young guy come through my line, and I told him this too, that he looked like Robin Shou, as he did. So yeah, I had a Robin Shou lookalike come through my checkout line.
bio is pretty bare bones. Former White Lotus Society, Shaolin representative, hates Shang Tsung. No tragic family history, no extra emotional baggage, no backstory sermon. But the movie's addition doesn't break him. If anything, it fits. The guy still wins through discipline. He doesn't brutalize anybody. He stays the cleanest, most heroic character in the whole movie right up to the final frame. One thing worth pointing out, though, Liu Kang uses the bicycle kick against Reptile. That move didn't show up until Mortal Kombat 2, so clearly the filmmakers weren't just cherry-picking from the first game. They were grabbing whatever the franchise gave them if it made the fight better. And that's why Liu Kang works. Not because they copied the game bit for bit, but because they understood what the game was trying to say about him.
Johnny Cage!
And did you know Arcade Fatally is a Bertle now called Entercoin or something? I don't know, I don't remember it.
But yeah, Johnny Cage, perfect. Probably the best live action Johnny Cage ever was and ever will be. Well, I gotta see Carl Urban's version, but this version is definitely perfect.
If you played Mortal Kombat in the arcade, you already know exactly what Johnny Cage was. He was the guy you picked when you wanted to look cool. Shirtless, black shorts, red sash, sunglasses, movie star attitude, and a move where he drops into the splits and punches you somewhere you absolutely do not want to be punched. His moveset is pure showmanship. The green energy bolt, the shadow kick, and that split punch, which in 1992 was somehow the funniest and most devastating thing in the game at the same time. Johnny Cage wasn't just a fighter, he was a statement. Hollywood martial arts is real, and he was here to prove it by rearranging your lower anatomy. Here's the part some people still don't know. Johnny Cage was designed around Jean-Claude Van Damme, specifically his Bloodsport era. The splits, the flashy
kicks. Did you know the first Mortal Kombat from 1995 wasn't going to have any woman, but it was going to look sexist, so Ed Boon said we need to add a woman, and that is how Sonya Blade was made in the first game.
Interesting if true.
Star swagger, all of it. Midway basically made him for Van Damme. Then when the movie came around, they offered him the role. He turned it down because he was busy playing Guile in 1994's Street Fighter film. It's the ultimate betrayal and a bizarre bit of history. The man who inspired the face of Mortal Kombat jumped ship to lead the franchise's biggest rival. But Lyndon Ashby nailed it anyway. He trained in karate, taekwondo, and kung fu specifically for the role. And he understood that Johnny Cage isn't just about the moves, it's about the attitude. He needs to be cocky enough to annoy you, but not so cocky that you stop believing he can actually back it up. The Johnny Cage vs. Scorpion fight is one of the best sequences in the whole film.
Hell yeah.
The acrobatics, the pacing, the set design. This is the stuff fans actually came to see. And the signed photo that falls at the end is a direct nod to his friendship from Mortal Kombat 2.
I actually have that signed picture there. I have a copy of it, and I have it in a framed photo on my in my room.
That is not a random detail. Somebody on that production was paying attention. The one real miss is the fatality. Cage rips off his opponent's head with an uppercut. The movie couldn't go there because of the rating, so Scorpion just explodes instead. That's not a creative failure. That's just the PG-13 fence doing what it does best.
Yeah.
Johnny Cage is the character the movie has the most fun with.
Yes.
And honestly, that's exactly what he was in the arcade too.
Yay.
Sonya. The only woman on the Mortal Kombat roster. Arcade Sonya looks like she just stepped out of a 90s aerobics video.
You remember when Mortal Kombat women actually had muscles? Oh, and I mean, the MK1 actually did give them back their muscles, but for a while there, they were too skinny.
Green leotard, headband, white shoes, ready to kick ass and take names. And before we even get to the movie, we need to talk about what she actually was in the arcade, because this part gets glossed over way too often. Sonya is a grappler. Her defining move isn't a projectile or a teleport, it's the leg grab. She wraps her legs around her opponents and slams them into the ground. In 1992, that was wild. Her energy rings give her range. The square wave punch closes distance, but the leg grab is what makes her Sonya. She fights like a special forces officer should fight, efficient, physical, and up close where she can make it hurt. And then there's her fatality, the kiss that disintegrates her opponent. That is either the most dismissive finishing move in fighting game history or the most confident, probably both. Cameron Diaz was originally cast as Sonya Blade, but she broke her wrist during training and had to leave. Bridget Wilson stepped in, trained every day she wasn't on camera, and did all her own stunts.
Well, you go, girl.
And she sells the character. When Sonya finally kills Kano, she doesn't do it with a weapon or with backup. She wraps her legs around his neck and snaps it. The guy she's been chasing across the world gets finished by her most iconic move. That is a great payoff. Bridget Wilson plays her as hard-edged, no nonsense, and completely believable. The attitude is there all the way through. Then the movie kneecaps her. Shang Tsung kidnaps her, chains her up in Outworld, and suddenly she's waiting around while Liu Kang fights her battle for her. That's straight out of Mortal Kombat 2, where she and Kano are both captured. So yes, it was intentional, but intention doesn't automatically make it satisfying when you just had your best moment and then got turned into a hostage.
Yeah, well, that was movies. One step forward and two steps back. Like, the 90s was great for their making actual badass female action characters. But, you know, every now and then we still got the sexist seedlings in there. Or the remnants, I should say, rather.
Raiden. Right away, Raiden's situation in this video is different from everybody else's. Other fighters get graded on costume accuracy, move translation, or lore fidelity. Raiden gets graded on something harder. Did the movie actually understand what this character is supposed to be? In the arcade, Raiden is surprisingly aggressive for a god. The lightning bolt comes out fast. The torpedo launches him across the screen like Superman. He teleports behind you before you even know what happened. His fatality sends a charge through his opponent's skull until it explodes.
Damn.
For the God of Thunder, he fights like somebody who genuinely enjoys the job. And his arcade bio is almost casual about it. He's possibly a deity who took human form just to enter the tournament. He just shows up and nobody has the nerve to tell him no. That version of Raiden is a combatant, plain and simple. He earns his victories one round at a time. The movie makes a very different choice. Christopher Lambert's Raiden doesn't compete.
Lambert, not Lambert. He's French, remember?
He watches, guides, and steps in just enough to keep his chosen fighters alive without breaking the rules. less aggressive Thunder God, more chess player who already knows how the game ends, but can't move the pieces himself. And that actually works. A fighting game gives you a roster of equals. Everybody on that select screen is playing by the same rules. 2 rounds, same health bar, same timer. Raiden being divine doesn't mean much when Kano can still throw a knife at his face and win the round.
That's true.
The game needs him to be a fighter, so he is one. Cinema works differently. If Raiden can intervene whenever he wants, the audience immediately asks why he doesn't just solve the whole thing himself.
Yep.
The movie's answer is simple and elegant. He can't. Tournament rules bind him, and being a god makes him less free, not more. Lambert plays him with this dry, amused detachment, like somebody who's watched humanity make the same stupid mistakes for centuries. The arcade version of Raiden never had much personality beyond Thunder God. The movie gave him one. That interpretation ended up lasting long enough that the franchise basically absorbed it. The games became the movie's Raiden, not the other way around. One production detail worth knowing: when the budget ran out, the studio couldn't even afford to fly Lambert to Thailand. He paid for his own trip so the film could get the extra scenes the filmmakers wanted.
Oh, well, how about
Then
that?
he covered the wrap party for the entire cast and crew when the money was completely gone.
Oh, wasn't that
The
awesome?
game
of
gave
him?
him a lightning bolt. The movie gave him a reason to care. For 90 minutes of cinema, that's the better trade.
Yes, indeed.
Kano.
Kano.
Black Dragon crime boss, mercenary, thug, extortionist. In other words, a walking HR violation. The arcade bio doesn't soften it either. This man is a career criminal, and he's proud of it. In the arcade, Kano is a real threat. The knife throw keeps you honest at range. The cannonball tackle crosses the screen fast, and his fatality is one of the most notorious in the whole game. He reaches into his opponent's chest and pulls out a steel-beating heart. The look is simple but effective. A metal plate on his face and a cybernetic eye. In the original game, he's coded as an American raised in Japan, and he was played by digitized actor Richard Divisio. And then Trevor Goddard walked into the audition. Goddard was English,
R.I.P. Big Dog.
born in Croydon. Before acting, he was a professional boxer with 55 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. A former light heavyweight who knew exactly how to make a threat feel real. When he stepped into Kano, something came out of him that nobody on set could quite pin down. It wasn't American or quite British. It was somewhere in the vicinity of Australian, and the producers just rolled with it. That accent was so memorable that Midway took notice. Kano started picking up Australian references in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe.
You don't look so good, mate.
And by Mortal Kombat X, his origin was officially locked in as Australian. A guy from Croydon accidentally rewrote years of franchise canon. Now for the fidelity problems. Shang Tsung's own screenplay describes Kano as a disreputable-looking cretin, which is basically the movie telling you what it thinks of him. Not as a feared crime boss, but as a useful embarrassment who flinches when Goro raises his voice. And the hard rip doesn't appear. Sonya kills him, and while her leg snap is satisfying, one of the most infamous finishers in Mortal Kombat history just disappears. Trevor Goddard died in 2003 at only 40 years old. Kano is Australian because of him. 30 years of games, spin-offs, and reboots exist thanks to a boxer who never quite got his due while he was here.
As I said before, R.I.P. Big Dog.
Scorpion.
Just look at that design. A yellow and black ninja with no name and no confirmed origin. The arcade bio is almost annoyingly vague. His true identity is unknown. His clan is unknown, and the only thing the game is really willing to tell you is that he hates Sub-Zero with a passion. And somehow, 2 special moves and 3 words turn him into one of the most iconic characters ever put on a screen. The spear is everything. Back, low punch, and suddenly a kunai on a rope shoots across the screen, catches your opponent, and yanks them right into your fist.
Get over here!
I actually said it at the same time he played it.
Then there's the teleport punch, which lets him vanish and reappear before you can even react. And the fatality. He pulls off the mask, reveals a skull, and cremates his opponent. Here's the part that's easy to miss about Scorpion's arcade ending. It gives you no real resolution. He was murdered by Sub-Zero, came back from death to compete, and even when he wins, nothing is actually resolved. He's basically a wronged spirit chasing an answer the game never lets him reach. That isn't a gap in the writing. That is the writing. The suit is fantastic.
Well done, Goth.
Chris Casamassa was originally hired as a background fighter, just a stuntman filling out crowd scenes. But during his demo, he moved so well that the producers handed him the role, and it shows. Every moment feels like somebody who understood Scorpion inside and out. The spear got redesigned for the movie. In the game, it's a traditional ninja weapon. In the film, it becomes a living, snake-like thing shooting out of a slit in his palm, meant to capture that same in-game feeling, that weird supernatural way it homes in on the target. And honestly, it works. It's an interpretation, not a copy. The fight still holds up decades later. Get Over Here lands exactly where it should, and Ed Boon, co-creator of the game, personally voiced Scorpion, which is a perfect little detail, because the guy who invented the character was the guy saying the line. So what does the film miss? The whole reason Scorpion exists. He and Sub-Zero are framed as mindless servants under Shang Tsung's control. The specific personal history between them, the fact that Sub-Zero killed Scorpion and Scorpion came back from the dead looking for revenge, is stripped away. They don't even acknowledge each other. They're in the same movie and still feel like strangers.
Yeah.
The moves are there, the suit is there, even the voice is there, but the soul of Scorpion got left behind.
Sub-Zero.
Everything Scorpion is, Sub-Zero is the other side of it. Where Scorpion is fury and unresolved rage, Sub-Zero is cold, calculated, and patient. His arcade bio is just as bare bones. Lin Kuei assassin, identity unknown, sent to the tournament to eliminate Shang Tsung. He isn't there for glory or revenge. He has orders, and he's there to carry them out. Mechanically, he mirrors Scorpion in the best way. Where Scorpion pulls you in, Sub-Zero stops you dead. The freeze is one of the most satisfying moves in the game. The slide closest distance low and fast, slipping under projectiles. Together, they make a fighter built around control. And then there's that fatality. Sub-Zero reaches into the back of his opponent's neck and pulls out the entire spine, skull still attached. That move is one of the reasons the Entertainment Software Ratings Board exists. Senator Joseph Lieberman cited it specifically in congressional hearings. One finisher helped change the whole industry's approach to content ratings. The movie's Sub-Zero, played by Francois Petit, looks the part. The suit is accurate enough, and his powers work exactly the way they should. He freezes Sonya's gun barrel and snaps it off barehanded, which is cold, efficient, and completely on character. His death is actually one of the smarter action beats in the movie. Liu Kang throws water at him. Sub-Zero's own power reacts. The water freezes in mid-air into an ice spear, and it impales him. That's a genuinely clever use of his abilities. and the game never did anything that creative with him in 1992. Credit where it's due. Petit was working behind the scenes for most of the production, which limited how much screen time he got. The result is a character who feels more like a visual than a presence. No dialogue, no arc, no identity beyond ice powers and works for Shang Tsung. And the real missing piece is the rivalry. Sub-Zero matters in this franchise because of Scorpion. Because he killed Scorpion, and Scorpion came back from the dead looking for revenge. Every time they're in the same space, that history should be crackling. In the movie, they're on the same boat. They're standing near each other, and nothing happens. The game built two fighters whose identities only fully make sense in contrast to each other. Fire and ice, aggression and restraint, death and what comes back from it. The movie puts them in the same scenes and gives them nothing to exchange. Both are gone before the second act is over.
Oh my god. That kind of startled me.
4 arms. Half human, half dragon. Prince of the Shokan. Goro wasn't just a difficult opponent. He was a statement. He was the moment Mortal Kombat stopped being just a tournament fighter and became something bigger, meaner, and way more memorable. 2,000 years old and undefeated champion for 500 years. The game doesn't build to Goro slowly. It drops him on you after you've already cleared the whole roster and thinks you're ready for this problem. And he is a problem. 4 arms that hit harder than anything else in the game. A projectile that comes out fast. And a ground stomp that shakes the whole screen. The easiest way to beat Goro in the arcade was to refuse to play his game. Keep your distance. Use ranged attacks. Make him come to you. The player who figured that out got to move on and fight Shang Tsung. The movie went all in on the practical side of him. Not CGI, not quite a man in a suit, an animatronic monster, $1 million to build, about 8 feet tall, and operated by multiple people at once. The operator inside could only stay in there for 2 minutes before the oxygen ran out. So every shot of Goro had to be built around that limitation. Anderson had to plan every angle, every moment, every movement, every exchange around how long a human being can function without enough air. And Goro broke down constantly, which is why his screen time was cut so hard. Every scene you see is basically what survived the technical chaos. What Anderson did with those limitations is what the game teaches you to do with the character. Work around the problem instead of charging straight into it. Wide lenses to sell the scale. Slow, deliberate movements instead of fast ones. Let the brute physicality do the work. And then he gave the fight to Johnny Cage. Not Liu Kang, not Raiden, Johnny Cage. The guy everybody had been underestimating is the one who faces Goro. And he doesn't beat him by overpowering him. He beats him by thinking. A low blow to distract him, the environment to finish him. And suddenly Goro goes off a cliff. Not because Cage was stronger, but because he was smarter. $1 million puppet taken down by a man in sunglasses using a groin punch and a cliff. That is Mortal Kombat. The host, the sorcerer, the man who ends every fight with, "Your soul is mine." In the arcade, Shang Tsung is an old man. Long white hair and mustache, flowing robes. He looks like he should be handing out cryptic wisdom on a mountaintop, not running a death tournament. His real danger isn't physical. It's the morph. He can become any fighter on the roster with all their moves. This is not that man. This is Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa. Physically commanding, radiating the kind of controlled menace that makes every scene feel like a negotiation you're already losing. He was the filmmaker's first and only choice. He showed up to the audition already in costume, delivered his lines while standing on a chair, and basically forced everybody in the room to look up at him.
Oh my god.
The Asian
That I probably would have wanted to pee myself. I would have been very intimidated. Because that was an intimidating man. Oh. And another R.I.P. Big Dog to that legend.
Each question matters too. In Mortal Kombat, he's ancient. In Mortal Kombat 2, Shao Kahn de-ages him. The movie splits the difference, giving you a Shang Tsung who carries centuries behind his eyes, but still has the physicality to be believable. The explanation that stolen souls are sustaining him is way more elegant than anything the games had offered up to that point. And the morph is held back properly. For most of the movie, Shang Tsung fights as himself. It's only in the final showdown that he transforms into Chan, Liu Kang's brother. Just like in the arcade, the ability is saved for the exact moment it hits hardest. The one big difference is his role in the story. In the arcade, Shang Tsung is mostly passive, presiding from a distance until the final stage. The movie's version schemes, manipulates, and inserts himself constantly. Less final boss, more guy who is always 3 moves ahead. For the game, that's a shift. For a movie, it's the right call. Midway, known today as NetherRealm Studios, eventually brought Tagawa back to voice Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11.
And be his face model.
Nearly 25 years later.
Yeah, don't forget that. And to be his face model.
His face became the character model.
Oh, well, never mind. There you go.
The franchise basically returned to the movie's version of the character, not the other way around. That almost never happens in adaptation. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa passed away on December 4, 2025 at the age of 75. Ed Boon posted a tribute that day and called him one of a kind, then closed with 4 words that belonged entirely to him. Your soul is eternal.
Yes.
In the game, Reptile is a secret character, hidden behind a very specific sequence on the pit stage. No blocking, a double flawless victory, and finishing with a fatality. Down in the pit, you fight a green ninja who borrows moves from both Scorpion and Sub-Zero. No unique costume, no biography, no ending screen. He's not even playable. In 1992, Reptile was the most talked about secret in arcades. Not because the game told anyone about him, but because people obsessed over him anyway. That kind of mystery is basically extinct now. The internet replaced it, but never quite captured the same feeling. Reptile's whole identity is that he's a mystery. He wasn't in the original screenplay either. Early test screenings showed the second act losing steam, so the producers needed another fight sequence fast. They took the CGI reptile creature already in the film and transformed it into a human combatant. A new set got built in a hangar at Van Nuys Airport, and the whole thing was shot under serious pressure.
Oh my god, that's a screen cap.
How serious? Robin Shou fractured 2 ribs when he was thrown into a stone pillar during the shoot. It told exactly one person, Keith Cook, the actor playing Reptile, and asked him not to make contact with his right side. He finished the scene, then went to the hospital. And neither the director nor Shou knew what Reptile's creature form would even look like until after they were done filming. His entrance is announced like a character select screen. Reptile. For anybody who unlocked him in the arcade or played as him in Mortal Kombat 2, that lands differently. The CGI creature looks rough, no way around that. But the human form is fast, fluid, and legitimately threatening. Keith Cook earned that. Every other segment in this video grades the movie against the source material. With Reptile, there was almost nothing to grade against. The game gave the filmmakers a mystery, and they gave it a face.
Kitana.
Kitana debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 in 1993, 1 year after the original game and 1 year before the movie went into production. The filmmakers had a choice: stay locked to the first game or reach into the sequel. They chose to expand, and the character they brought in was Kitana. That tells you something right there. They were taking the source material seriously enough to know the universe didn't end with the first tournament. In the games, Kitana is royalty, princess of Outworld, adopted daughter of Shao Kahn, 10,000 years old. She fights with razor-edged steel fans that lift opponents off the ground and close fights with nasty precision. Her Mortal Kombat 2 story is basically a reckoning. After centuries serving Kahn, the tournament forces her to pick a side. She defects, chooses Earthrealm, and pays for it. Talisa Soto looks the part, but they swapped the iconic blue ninja outfit for black leather. Still, the connection to Liu Kang is handled with enough restraint that it doesn't take over the story. The film also gets one important thing right: it makes her feel ancient, like somebody who has seen this cycle repeat enough times for her words to actually carry weight. But mostly, she's there to explain things. If Raiden isn't available, Kitana fills in the blanks. Aside from that awkward dance with Liu Kang, she never really gets a fight scene of her own. We never see her earn the defection. We never see those fans open up and do the thing that made her stand out in the first place. Still, there's a good instinct buried in all that. By including a Mortal Kombat 2 character at all, the film makes it clear the franchise is bigger than one game. Kitana is the first real sign that this world has somewhere to go after the tournament ends. That's smart universe building. They just forgot to let her fight in it. Before the verdict, 2 characters deserve a mention. Not because the film did much with them, but because of what they represent, and what almost was. First, Jax. By the time this movie went into production, Jackson Briggs was already a fan favorite. He debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 alongside Kitana, and he's Sonya's partner. Special Forces, built like a freight elevator, and the kind of fighter who never wastes emotion. His gotcha grab, his ground pound, and his no-nonsense style made him one of the most satisfying characters in the sequel.
Gotcha!
In the movie, Jax shows up in 2 scenes and barely gets any lines. He exists to remind you that Sonya has backup somewhere, and then the movie leaves him behind. Steve James, star of the American Ninja series and a physically commanding performer, was originally cast as Jax. He died from pancreatic cancer in 1993 before production began. Michael J. White was brought in as a replacement, but dropped out to star in the TV movie Tyson. Gregory McKinney eventually got the role and did what he could with almost nothing. McKinney himself died in 1998 from a brain aneurysm, and he was also in his 40s. In the credits, Jax's name is misspelled as Jaxx with 2 X's.
Oh, well.
Then there's Shao Kahn.
If they ever cast Jax again... Well, okay, he's in the new Mortal Kombat movies, but my pick was always Michael J. White.
If Shang Tsung is the architect of the tournament, Kahn is the reason it exists.
It's like I said that and then I realized, wait a minute, they have already recast him in the new movies.
Emperor of Outworld, Conqueror of Realms, the entity Shang Tsung answers to, defers to, and fears. In Mortal Kombat 2, he's the final boss, imposing, and all his taunts became part of the franchise's identity.
You weak, pathetic fool.
He appears for about 6 seconds at the very end, insults the heroes, and then the credits roll. And honestly, that was the right call. Putting Kahn into the main story would have been fan service at the expense of the structure. The tournament belongs to Shang Tsung. Shao Kahn is what comes next. The problem isn't that he's missing, it's those 6 seconds. Frank Welker voices him, which is fantastic on paper, but the visual doesn't really communicate what Khan is supposed to be. The execution feels like a placeholder. That conversation belongs to a different movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which tried to cash that check and failed in just about every direction imaginable. So, did the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie understand the games? It depends on what you mean by understand. What the movie absolutely understood
Did he do one for Annihilation then?
was the feeling, the weight of the tournament, the sense that these fighters weren't just competing, they were carrying an entire world on their backs, and that never stopped being exciting. Paul W.S. Anderson was a real fan who played Mortal Kombat in London arcades before he ever sat in a director's chair.
Yeah, how come he screwed up the Resident Evil movie so bad then?
And
though I will admit, or at least the very first Resident Evil movie was nowhere near as bad as the crap they're trudging out nowadays and calling it Resident Evil.
That love shows up in the finished film. Tagawa as Shang Tsung, Robin Shou as Liu Kang, Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage. Those are performers who found the soul of their characters and committed to it. Bruises, broken ribs and all.
Which one?
Here's where it lands.
Well, which one? What? The first the first Resident Evil movie in, what was it, 2000, 2001 or whatever? Like, that's the most decent one out of the bunch, I think.
Resident Evil movie, what is the name?
It's just Resident Evil. What do you mean? I'm saying that one's better than, like, the whole rest of his series. And then the newer ones. The newer movies that they were coming out with that were just, well, sludge.
Atmosphere. Completely delivered. If you were 17 in August of 1995, like I was, the movie hit almost exactly the way the arcade did.
I wasn't. I was 5.
That's not an accident.
I didn't see this movie until I was, like, a teenager, I think.
That's craft. Design. Mostly strong. The characters look right and the techniques are recognizable. Most of the misses come from the limits of a 1995 PG-13 budget.
Yeah.
Mythology. This is where it starts to wobble. The characters whose identities depend on relationships and history, not just visuals and moves, are the ones the movie struggles with the most. And yet, 30 years later, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa is still Shang Tsung in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack went platinum, the first electronic dance music album in history to do that. And Christopher Lambert, a god of thunder who paid his own way to show up and then bought everyone dinner when it was over, is still part of the movie's legend. For a lot of us, that's more than enough.
Mm-hmm. Did he do Annihilation? Aha, he did. Let's watch that one next. Holy shit, this one's only 8 minutes long.
Kang. Raiden.
Oh god, they messed Raiden up.
Sonya. Jax.
Hey, Tats!
Kitano.
Welcome in.
Johnny Cage.
They did my boy. Look how they massacred my boy. They did him so dirty in this movie.
Shao Kahn. Sindel.
Oh, God.
Motaro.
Well, at least he looked the part.
Ermac.
I forgot he was in that movie.
Shiva.
Shiva!
Rain. Smoke. Sub-Zero. Scorpion. Nightwolf.
So what about Resident Evil Infinite Darkness?
Garbage, don't watch it.
Cyrax. Melina. Baraka.
God, he looks rough. I can't even believe that was supposed to be Shinnok. It looks nothing like him. It's just an
But I would watch it because I love Leon.
Cybot.
I forgot him being in that movie too.
That don't even look like Noon.
Okay. What the hell was that? Neat. Okay, that wasn't exactly the same thing as a capture net, but alright. Oh, cool.
Get down, Sonya. Fatality.
They did a pretty neat way of incorporating it, I'll admit. Kaboom!
Cyrax wins. Fatality.
Does this mean what I think it does?
Too bad I didn't get myself a new leg.
Oh god, my avatar froze up. Too bad the CGI was really bad. Liu Kang's dragon.
Liu Kang wins. Animality.
Wow, that looks horrible.
Bow to me.
Bow to me!
Get over here!
Get over here!
I win.
I win.
Finish him.
Finish him!
Yep, they finally showed her still fans.
Johnny Cage wins.
No!
Melina wins.
We don't have time for the slow wave.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Oh!
Reptile wins.
Oh!
The realms are emerging. It's like a nightmare or something, man.
I was kind of hoping for a commentary version like the last video. Yes, baby. Peensy peensy. My little prince. Alright, guys. That'll do it for tonight. Oh, let's see. Okay, as soon as this cat gets out of my face, hang on. There we go. Alrighty, guys. Who's live?
Via.
Boya.
We will meet again, not know when I know we will meet again, so sunny day.
Yo, Mac does it. Okay, you know what? Let's see if we can read him. Yes, Prince. Hang on a second. Ah, he doesn't accept raids right now. Shit. Oh well, I'll go ahead and well, I'll get back to him. And I'll follow him. Ooh, Alicia X Life. Let's see if we can raid her.
We will meet again, not know when I know we will meet again, so sunny day.
Alright, we're gonna raid Alicia X Life. Alright, guys. I will see y'all in the next stream. I love y'all. Bye.